Sam, it's your month. Why don't you say welcome to the fine folks out there listening to Sam's month?
Welcome to 155, a podcast about only the best songs from only the best bands that both me, Sam Sutherland, and Josiah Hughes love. In fact, Sam's month is really about satisfying the deep passions and secret desires of Josiah Hughes. That's right. In a twist, Sam's month is not about me, but it's about Josiah, because a real Your Month should be about giving. And Sam's all about giving.
A real Your Month. You're just stealing my intro from the newsletter, which I like, because I think we should plug the newsletter.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the newsletter's good. The newsletter is really good. And you're right. I was basically riffing on jokes you'd already made. I apologize. I didn't
stop
even
talking
notice
for
that
a
I was
second.
doing.
Yeah, the newsletter is fucking good. That's because we rule, and I agree that we're better together. However, it is fun. I have been thinking about it a lot, and it's like so funny. First of all, yeah, read the newsletter, because maybe we're going to start just scripting what we say on there in that Google Doc before we send it out. So you might even be able to read along with us on the pod. But
I feel like there are definitely people, whose newsletters I read, but you also follow them on Twitter, and maybe you've heard them on a podcast, and most people are recycling their takes. Like, I think we are the only pundits.
We mostly fresh it up with our takes.
The only times that we're not fresh is not because we have developed some.
It's because we're banking
apps.
Things. It's because that's the other thing about Sam's month. Before I finish what I'm saying, Sam is leaving. So Sam started his own month and then was like, by the way, we have to do all of Sam's month in one day. And so not only
Sam's day,
and also Sam's day, Sam's birthday. You don't really look at socials anymore. So I'm like fielding. People are talking to me about the Ataris today, and I'm like, oh, this is
sick.
Great. Thank you for telling me.
Are
about
people
this.
excited about the Ataris? How do people feel about the Ataris?
Someone was like, oh, I love this album, and I'm like, I don't even know what this fucking album is. I just wanted to do a Photoshop with it.
The Photoshop is good. I saw you did send me the photo, and it looks great. So thanks for all your efforts, Josiah.
Work, but my work pays off because it's true. Like, you really did want to make it your month, but then you've been thinking nonstop about how I will react to things. The sort of the loaded.
It's true.
I think this week is an example of that. Like this loaded idea of what it would be like to talk to me about this. It's kind of like
most of the guest spot is about you. Like our guest this week was disappointed. We were talking for a little bit, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to hit record. And they're like, was Josiah not joining? And I was like, oh no, but you can direct your.
Oh no, are they mad at me? Are you trying to get me to listen to? Because I tried to listen to your guest spot last week, and I was like,
bit rough. Listen, I should address this off the top. Last week I did the guest interview in a boardroom. I was in an office, so I didn't bring my pod gear with me, so I did it with an AirPod, but I didn't think it would sound. Someone on Discord said I sounded like Tom with the Satan mic from the Mark, Tom, and Travis show era, and I was like, it can't possibly sound like that. I just assumed it would sound like tinny and small, but it sounds completely fucked.
You're like, actually, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're actually. You've become you're picking songs based on like this kind of pseudo trolling level. You said that last week was going to be short and focused, and it was our longest episode in months. And your guest spot was like this extremely difficult avant-garde voice record. Like, you have become me, and now we've just traded spots, and I don't know what to do about it. It's fucking me up. Sam's month is fucking me up.
If I can recommend, just maybe getting arm in arm with your pals in the pit. I think that's what's missing. That's next for you.
That's definitely not going to be happening. Now, before we go into the first little seggy of the show, I did want to know, we're banking apps. I meant to check this earlier, but I've been so busy working at my corporate job because I'm Sam now. But
we have traded places.
Is there any, we're banking apps. I meant to check. Are there any updates with your friend Michael Geist and Law Bites, or have you been listening to any other incredibly dry, boring podcasts this week?
No, I don't. I don't know that there's nothing new on the Geist front. Let me see if I've got any new Sam's pod updates for you. No, I think that's really it. You know, I was listening to an episode of NPR's Throughline about the history of house music earlier. You know, just regular things that you'd
So you're
expect
learning
someone.
about house music from NPR. That's getting slightly better, I guess. But
I mean, no, it was like that's where I get all my music news.
you're gonna be
is, the good
pod's
people at
gonna-
NPR.
When you finally get around to reading "Sell Out" by Dan Ozzie, the pod's gonna
Oh
be
wow,
way
pod's
different.
really gonna pop. It's true. It's
Well, I
true.
give an update with CanCon Pod. Fuck, I was trying to think of something. CanCon Pod content. You know, Joey Coleman, friend of the show, Hamilton shoe. What is it called? A shoe leather? What's a journalist called again?
He's a
Gum
Hamilton shoe. Yeah. He's a Hamilton shoe.
He's a shoe.
I guess it's shoe leather reporting. I don't know that. I guess he is a shoe leather.
What about
reporter.
gum shoe? Is that something else? A gum shoe? Oh, that's just when you step on gum.
That's of course when you're frustrated.
What do you,
Frustrated. in the
I feel like
streets.
you don't chew gum because you hate all pleasures of the mouth. Do you? Or do you have like plain gum or something?
I go there. Yeah, I do like the sort of sugar-free, joyless gum. No, I will go through a phase with the gum. Like I'll get one of those big, you know, tubs of gum and clear that in like 2 days, and then I just won't chew gum for a little while. My problem is I love something new, and so
can't
I
tell
chew
if
gum for a
I'm-
couple of minutes and then I'm over it.
I can't tell if I'm like trying to be a badass or if I actually believe this, but right now on mic, I want to say that spitting your gum on the ground is pretty tight. And I feel like
Okay.
the idea of like making
on,
someone mad, you turn them into a gumshoe, then they solve all the problems. Joey Coleman, friend of the show, you know, he has the 155 podcast, and this is old news by now, but there was a vote on whether or not Hamilton City Council would allow journalists, and I think you mentioned that last week. But and I actually meant to check. I didn't realize how old this tweet was. But is he banned from City Hall? Is he allowed to do this still?
Oh, you know what? I have not followed up on the Joey Coleman ban. Let's see. I'm not sure how it's progressing, to be totally honest.
I saw a tweet in the Discord, and I was like, "That'll be perfect. I'll talk about that." And then now I don't know. So.
So we have a non-update on the Joey Coleman
But that's 'cause
situation
we're not in punk
in
news
Hamilton
yet. So
City Hall.
let's get into the punk news section of the show, and I will add the theme song in here.
Yeah, punk news!
Sam, it's your month. Please begin to regale us with your punk. What is punk news to you, actually, since it's Sam's month?
Well, you know, punk news to me is all about, you know, knowing whether or not a genre is dead. You know, we're always, is punk dead? Punk's dead. Punk's not dead.
Right.
But
What is
who
house
thinks-
music via NPR?
What is house music via NPR? And so, of course, you know, in the interest of, you know, keeping an open mind, being aware of all the doings in various punk and punk adjacent subgenres.
Wow, this is mortifying. This one I think is like there's so many visual signifiers on here that are things that you like, and so
That's
it's funny
true.
to think that
That's
you're
true.
about to riff on this when like this article could presumably be framed and put up on your wall.
Yeah, I've got a T-shirt that looks a lot like this article. That's for sure. This comes to us from Idiotech.
What is
Perhaps
this website?
I feel like I see this sometimes as a music. It's a music.
It's so
news
weird that
website.
there's like music news websites. Like there's still someone making that, and they got some guy to bankroll it, and everyone gets paid so little that it's not even worth it to lay them off. So they just get to keep going and premiering music for that. Maybe that's what the newsletter will become: some sort of music premiere scam that we could do.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah. I mean, I guess this site's clearly been around for a while. I'm just looking at their main page, and when you pull out the sidebar, you know, with their various verticals, they also have their socials listed here, which include Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Plus, YouTube, and of
Who's
course,
the guy?
an RSS
Who's the
feed.
guy in their logo? Like their logo is like they just put something through the threshold filter on Photoshop.
I think is that Rollins? I feel like is that like
I thought it might be-
long hair era Rollins?
I figured it was like that guy from Counterparts who's always tweeting. Maybe it's that tweeting guy from Counterparts. But
It could
maybe
be.
not.
It could be a tweeter. Was he alive when Google Plus existed? I feel like Counterparts are like 20 years old, right?
I don't know. Google Plus was probably more real. I mean, I think we were in each other's circle, weren't we? Probably.
I'm sure. I hope so. I would hate to think that we weren't. I mean, that would be quite sad to me. So whoever this guy is, probably Rollins. Let's imagine he's shouting this.
Calling him Rollins instead of Henry Rollins is like a degree of familiarity that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Do you not feel like you're pals?
No, I don't think I'm pals with that guy. I don't. I subscribe to the Henry Rollins is no fun chicks dig at school of Rollins adjacents.
Okay, interesting. I am friends with Henry Rollins. We're friends from the movies. We're friends from.
Are you
the
actually
books.
friends with him though?
No, I'm not. But I've been like the few times.
I got a little update. I think probably half of the problems that have belabored this already time crunched episode are just because of the connector on my headphones was slightly loose and I fixed it.
That's a great update.
So
for people who, if there was like a little bit of a stop and start vibe to the opening of this episode, it is because we stopped and started numerous times.
The reason we're on our fourth call and platform as we speak is at least in part. I mean, it doesn't explain why your audio was so fucked up when you were talking to your older sister last week, but
yeah, no, I still don't understand. I genuinely don't understand why it sounds that way. I know it makes
you mad when I say your sister's older than you, but
I just moved on from it.
But is she taller than you? Real talk.
No, she's not taller than me. No one's taller than me. I'm huge. I don't think my parents were like particularly capable of birthing a tall child.
Are your parents like hobbits or something?
Yeah, they're Lilliputian.
Okay, let's get to the point of this shit so we can move on.
Horrorpunk's not dead.
I feel like they've
this
used
headline.
it's used. I think it's the Punk News font from the actual website punknews.org, which who stole
You think
us.
so? No,
they
that's
stole
not.
our
That's
idea.
not the org core font.
It's close. It's pretty close.
Well, listen, they're using perhaps a Punk News adjacent font to cry at Horrorpunk is not dead. Thank God. Josiah, before I
This
had
is
sent this Punk
volume
News to
2
you,
of this segment. Horrorpunk.
yeah, it looks like so. If people were thinking after the first one, like, well, okay, it's not you wrote one article, you put a maybe this is a compilation. No, this is an article. Maybe after the first one, people thought that first one was a fluke. So like they're back, they're back here to prove to you that it's not dead. Josiah, before I send you this article, if I had said, "What do you think Horrorpunk is dead?" What would you have said? All good.
What did I think? Now, did I pause in the middle of that to go do something in my home? Perhaps. I think that I don't really.
Sorry, I got to pause now too. Actually, I'm just kidding.
That would be so cool. I can't wait to find out if I was in key with myself with my hemming and hawing.
That'll be.
Do you think I was?
Well, I guess do you think people have a standard frequency at which they hum? Like, because I feel like if I was humming, I go.
This is going to be such a long episode.
No, because mine goes. I would say my default hum goes. It's like a slide whistle, and so that would be hard to match. But if you typically just go.
I don't know if I typically do that. I mean, I'm not really sure, but it's just
You should,
it's not
both
very
hum
often.
and then pause and then start again.
Okay,
Let's
ready?
do it. Ready?
But no,
Okay.
wait. We have to take a break in the middle when we pause.
That's
okay?
what I'm saying. So, hey, Josiah, let's both ponder if Horrorpunk is dead or not.
I think this isn't an accurate test of this.
This is a good test. This is an
I
important
don't think
test.
this
that
is
we're doing.
accurate. I think my hemming and hawing was different because no one's ever really asked me about horror punk before, and I think I respect the concept of it so little that it's hard to even imagine leaving any space in my brain for it. However, I do find myself often thinking about what does it mean that almost every mid to large city has at least surviving, if not thriving, rockabilly clothing store in business, and how does that? Who is keeping the rockabilly store? I mean, you don't really see people dressing like Betty Page anymore. You don't really see guys wearing creepers anymore. I mean, maybe sometimes, but there's still, and some of them, like the one here in Montreal, it's like kind of there's a sort of classed up rockabilly store where you can get kind of a modern edit on the rockabilly look, where maybe it's just like subtle dye and cherries involved. So perhaps horror punk not being dead, it relates to them, but I feel like horror punk is still kind of more disgusting than an elevated take on the rockabilly look. I mean, you could really wear some cat eye glasses and not give horror punk vibes. Now, the other thing I want to say is this article actually says horror punk / psychobilly / death rock artists comment on the state of the spooky genre. And I don't feel like death rock should fairly be lumped in with horror punk and psychobilly. I mean, death rock is kind of, I mean, let's say the quiet part loud. All of these things are, in my mind, linked to various forms of racists. But I think death rock is kind of a more Scandinavian racist, whereas horror punk and psychobilly are more kind of, you took a wrong turn in the United States or Alberta.
Right, yeah, that's American racism. It's a little less refined than the Scandinavian form. So we were right. This is both a compilation and seemingly like an oral history, State of the Union from a variety of horror punk luminaries. Now, Carol Kaminsky, who I wish had a cool horror punk name like some of the other folks in this article, writes, "Get ready to..." Oh, sorry, actually, I don't think we finished the headline. Horror punk is not dead. Horror Punk's Not Dead, Volume 2. Horror punk, psychobilly, death rock artists comment on the state of the spooky genre. Well, I'm interested. Are you, Josiah?
Yeah, I think so. I kind of spaced out for a long time while that felt
fine.
like about half an
Long
hour.
time.
Wow. It felt so long.
Half an hour of genre signifiers. Get ready to once again, and I believe they linked to their original post about horror punk not being dead, embrace the spine-tingling chills and thrills of the horror punk genre with the brand new compilation Horror Punk's Not Dead! Volume 2, featuring a whopping 50 tracks, including 22 exclusive, never before heard or unreleased tunes. This album is a must-have for fans of the genre. I mean, 22 exclusive.
I think Carol
Kaminsky that's pretty great.
is running the entire Idiotech franchise because the Twitter just links straight to the Idiotech Twitter, and if you click the name, it's pretty much every single article on the page. So, damn, I doff my cap to thee, Carol Kaminsky.
Wow. You can doff. You know what? I don't know. What's the scariest type of hat? Like a pointy witch's hat, maybe.
Yeah, but is that horror punk? I mean, I feel like horror punk is just kind of the bald guy, scully cab driver hat, right?
Yeah, sure, but I'm just imagining, because it's saying here that this is sure to satisfy your cravings for all things dark and spooky.
Are we going to read this entire interview, or?
No, it's really long. So they've partnered with the good folks at We Are Horror Records to offer, again, like a sort of State of the Union to go along with I guess, the announcement of the release of this combination. We've got members of the Crimson Ghosts here, Doc Horror from Zombina and the Skeletones, Johnny Zombie from Doomsdale High, Nate's here.
Okay.
Being a guy named Nate sandwiched between Johnny Zombie and Howard Von Noyes from Coffin Carousel. We've got the Reverend Chad Wells and Scarika Watts from the Creepy Crawlers, and Cody Crypt from the Grave Core.
I just scrolled down too. They've got actually the track listing. So the compilation. It's 2 discs. It boasts previously released tracks from some of our favorite artists, including Pretty with the Lights Out, Molly Fancher. Molly Fancher is on here, and let's see, Lesbian Bed Death are all that. They have previously released, but obviously they could carry on their own. But then there's unreleased songs from the likes of Skullfuck Maniacs, and I think you said the Creepy Crawlers. Let's see who else is on here. I mean, Skullfuck Maniacs is probably the best. It's not going to get much better than that.
Good.
The Graveyard Boulevard, Hellgreaser, Tomb of Nick Cage. That's kind of the vibes we're working with.
There's some good updates here from some of the folks we mentioned earlier. This comes from Howard Von Noyes. Again, sort of the State of the Union of the scene around the world. Horror punk in Australia pretty much doesn't exist in 2023. That is, of course, disappointing, I'm sure, to all of our Australian listeners. Coffin Carousel, I believe that's Howard Von Noyes' band. Coffin Carousel is progressively moving away from our horror punk roots. Well, that's disappointing. However, we are stuck on a prison island, so horror punk is our medicine for the great southern isolated blues, and will always have its moments with the band's writing. Imagine, I just like the idea of being a guy called Howard Von Noyes in a band called Coffin Carousel and being like, we're moving away from horror punk. It's
Comparing horror punk to the blues is just really good in general. You know, it's a rich
And it's really
tradition.
what it is, just the spooky blues. Horror punk, they go on, it's underground and niche where it needs to be. If horror punk ever went mainstream, it would be a miracle and a sad day also. So that's,
wow.
I hope Howard Von
Gatekeeping.
Noyes never sees the day where, we're getting a horror punk turn from Taylor Swift or whatever, she
She starts
Crypt
working with
keeping, crypt keeping,
She
sorry,
starts
that's-
working with Zombina and the Skeletones, much
I
like she
know,
did
right?
with the National.
I'd like to
guys.
imagine, one of the Skeletones, right?
There's a couple of band pics in this article, and good God, they are giving me bad vibes. It's quite upsetting to see these people.
It's funny how there are, you and I have talked about this before. I do like the Misfits. I know don't care for them. I love Rob Zombie. I don't really know how you feel about Rob Zombie, but I could guess.
Well, read
But,
the newsletter. Maybe you'll see.
Oh, that's right. We did talk about that. I read your part of the newsletter. That's how I come up with the titles from your delicious bon mots. But the idea that like there needs to be this many bands, like one of these guys just does look like Rob Zombie, and there's just not that much room at the top.
This article is making me wonder if horror punk is not dead because none of these people have died yet, but maybe there's just one
Interesting.
generation of people keeping it all going.
God damn, it's like World War II veterans or Holocaust survivors.
Yeah.
Where we'll be one day we won't be able to learn from these people anymore.
Oh, there's a cool pic in volume 1. There's a cool pic of the tomb of Nick Cage. I'm just gonna send it to you. You can see
Thanks.
how cool they look. That's great. Thank you, Sam, for sharing with us today. And I also would like to share something from my punk news section. And actually, I wish this was not being recorded ahead of time because this is breaking news and it was submitted to us via our Man on the Street.
Wow, Tomb of Nick Cage is wild looking. That is not what I expected.
This is breaking news and it was submitted to us by our Man on the Street. That's right. Eric Doiber emailed me just today and said, you might be interested in this. The dream is perhaps still alive.
Oh my God.
That's right. Helmut Schmidt reports for Inforum magazine that
This is incredible.
Punk Chef Pizza looks for a revival with GoFundMe plea. Owner Nate Savageau says with enough dough, he and others from the pizzeria's team can make the concept rise again. God damn it. God damn it, Helmut.
Helmut Schmidt, you beautiful bastard.
So, it opens Moorhead. Now, I love Helmut's opening here. Brother, can you lend some punk chefs a hand? What does that mean? What is that from? Brother, can you, what?
Brother, can you lend a hand? How does that, is that the Bible?
Brother, can you lend some punk chefs a hand? Good Lord. The owners of the now-closed Punk Chef Pizza and Bar, their chef and manager are looking to resurrect the brand. And to that end, they've turned to a GoFundMe campaign. Now, here's what I would love to know. Do you think that they heard that some Canadian podcasters were talking about them and thought, damn, this brand has legs, and we should
That's
keep it
got to
going?
be it. This has got to be the most. There's. I mean,
Because there's no way anyone cares about this other than Helmut and perhaps Eric. But
perhaps, and that's a big perhaps. I think we have talked more about Punk Chef Pizza
then we
on
have
this
Blink
podcast.
182. I think at this
Then
point
we probably have any of the and that's putting a lot of energy into the universe.
Co-owner
And-
Nate Savageau said that in thinking, quote, outside the box for how to start slinging pizzas again, he and his friends have decided they need a new box, specifically a shipping container. God damn it, Helmut. You know that you got eyes on you now, too. You're bringing your A game.
Everyone's bringing the heat.
There's no more square footage in your article here. So, I mean, we can keep reading, but I think ultimately it's worth looking at the GoFundMe. Now, I think that GoFundMes that aren't for medical bills are or like medical things or people who are actually in need. I feel like GoFundMe you shouldn't be using for your business. I think that's kind of gross.
You're right. You definitely should not use a crowdfunding platform for your business, if that's.
Well, maybe put it on Kickstarter or something. Like, let's leave
Oh, so it's
GoFundMe to people.
GoFundMe. Okay.
Yeah,
I see.
GoFundMe is for like.
I was implying that because we will be promoting our own crowdfunding initiative later in the episode. So it's just.
Right. Well,
what I was referencing.
Yeah, I see what you're doing, but
But
it's different.
you're drawing a distinction between
I feel like
GoFundMe,
GoFundMe is
Kickstarter,
for
and Patreon.
GoFundMe is for like people who are actually desperately in need, and I guess one could argue that Punk Chef Pizza is. I mean, they need to open this shipping container so that they can serve. So let's see what they said. We moved locations into after 11 years in business. Are they? So I guess they're talking about
their previous restaurants.
the previous
there.
business.
Because,
Yeah,
Punk Chef Pizza is
Punk Chef Pizza's
relatively
new. Exactly. There were winners and losers. Okay, hang on. They're talking about, this is pretty deep, actually. They're talking about Congress. The man got us down. There were winners and losers, and fair competition became a thing of the past. Not cool. So maybe Punk Chef Pizza had some kind of libertarian vibes to it, you think?
Interesting, yeah.
In true punk
big
fashion,
government out of our punk pockets.
Whenever someone says in true punk fashion, you know that it's going to be good. We are reaching out to bring our concept back and light the fires to continue the anarchy in the oven with a few changes to adapt to life after COVID. Oh my God.
Incredible.
If the
Yes.
proceeds were to
Yes.
bless our team, we would build a modified shipping container to sling the za, carry out and drive through style to keep things affordable, fresh, and convenient, and be ready to survive the next thing that will comes our way. Yeah, now you're dropping the ball. Helmet brought his A game with the pros, and then you just said survive the next thing that will comes our way. I mean, what the fuck are you doing? Come on.
I know, but they're good at pies. Helmet's good with words. He's slinging.
Yeah, there's some
puns.
real. As for our loyal staff, we would gift them ownership for staying by our side when the government stepped in and then on us. As we say in the kitchen, hey ho, I mean, they haven't quite fully said it, but this is some interesting. This is not your typical anti-government punk vibes. This reminds me of a pizza place in Calgary called Without Papers, which was already kind of a sketchy name, and the owner became like a psycho anti-mask and anti-vax warrior. And
That kind of seems like the vibe. Like if they're it feels like maybe the blame is on mandates and quarantine and stuff. Like I'm just trying to read between the lines here.
It's very interesting. Well, so they're asking for $90,000 USD to put a Mohawk skeleton clip art on the side of a shipping container. So you know what? As of right now, this is a full week before this comes out. It's at $650.
So you should tag on an update.
I would strongly urge you, listeners, to please not support this in any way. But
yeah, if you want to donate to a GoFundMe, there may be another one. So I am really into the idea of they're working with a talented local artist to develop a new path for Punk Chef Pizza, and like it's this layout for the shipping container, which is so good.
yeah, there's a section in the mock-up that it shows like the Clash on it, but it's in the mock-up it says stickers from customers, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
imagine
cool.
putting stickers on a shipping container. That's kind of cool.
Pretty punk, if you ask me.
And the guy running the thing just 3 hours ago put $20 of some money into the pot.
Ooh,
so
just
that's pretty
trying
cool.
Just get things moving.
I mean, I can't wait to see what happens with Punk Chef Pizza, but I think this ain't it, folks. So I think that's all, folks, is what I should say, and that's all, folks, for Punk News. So here is where the theme song goes now.
Yeah, Punk News.
Okay, let's get into it.
Josiah, I'm so excited about this episode, and I'm not the only one. This is the first episode that has had like multiple people reach out, about
and somehow
being a guest.
we just said it was Sam's month, and then everyone was like, "Oh, they're going to talk about this band."
I think it's like, oh well, you're going to do this, and that, and it was like, well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like at this point, everyone has riddled out Sam's month very quickly, very efficiently. Good job. I don't think we talked about the Hold Steady, but it was just obvious that
it's going to be
all right.
Yeah, so it was what was it last week again? The Ataris,
the
the Hold
Ataris.
Steady, and then it's going to be Death in June.
Yeah, all my faves. We've talked about this band conceptually, and I feel like you use the Hold Steady a little bit as a placeholder for a type of music that I like. Maybe you're not using it as a placeholder at all. But in this moment, before we delve into just this immaculate, spectacular rock band, Jose, have you ever even listened to the Hold Steady?
Yeah, I've seen them live at South by Southwest 2009, I think. Yeah, there's a lot. I have a lot to say, and I don't even know. I'm just doing. I thought about pausing the recording again, but
That would have been funny. I was like, as you started it, I was like, you have to pause again.
no. I mean, where to begin? I feel like the Hold Steady to me was the first time introducing to me in the concept, being in my 20s, my mid 20s or something, and it was the first time where like I grew up like, you know. For me, my most formative musical experiences, at least in terms of things that are like loosely punk, is to do with going to all ages shows and going to all ages shows that were available to me, which meant learning about new kinds of music because I was getting into emo or getting into hardcore, or getting into like white belt shit and all that stuff. And it was like automatic that just if I liked something, then I liked it. And then my friends usually liked it too. And we just, we might debate the minutia of things or whatever, but it was just like, oh yeah, this is what I do. I like punk music. I go to punk shows and I like it all. And then like in 2009, I think that was a really important year that not a lot of people talk about for kind of punk ideas hitting Pitchfork. And we've touched on this before. And I think like, as someone who is also, obsessed with Audio Galaxy and Soulseek and all that stuff and reading tiny mixtapes and listening to like kind of weirdo shit too, it was really exciting for me to see these two things meet. These punk ideas combined with like pretentious music writer ideas and over analysis and pretending to be literary or just straight up being literary, all these things. And I think it was like really, it was all one big journey of accumulating ideas and being excited about conversations with people, being excited to talk about music with all kinds of different people, being excited that like the feeling of being at an all ages show was entering this big arena. And I honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, think that the Hold Steady is like the very first time that I thought, oh shit, hang on. People are not listening to music in the same way I am. And I don't like this at all. And now there's all these people that I like that I'm going to hurt their feelings if I tell them how much I can't stand this. And, obviously through decades of, cruelty and layers of irony, I don't really mind hurting anyone's feelings about it. 'Cause I think if you're a grown adult, you can probably handle someone being like, oh, your favorite band sucks. Because I've heard it a lot too. But this was definitely an introduction to this idea of like, ooh, this sucks. I don't want to hurt my friends. My friends who love it are so nice, and I don't want to hurt your feelings. But my God, this is bad. So that's how I feel. And I saw them at South by Southwest 2009. And there's like, are we doing G-Chat or Discord here right now? G-Chat. I got it.
Yeah. Let's keep the tiers should remain the same.
There's a few people that over the years, Mark Tio, my fellow catty little bitchy music writer, and I would. These are the people that we would imagine as you kind of as you watch like waves come up in the blogosphere, or watch this band come up, or just kind of the rise of like the AV Club commenter idea of punk, like Kinja punk or something. I would always think back to South by Southwest. I don't think this was happening, but this is what I would describe this kind of music as. I don't even know if this was a real place, but it's these people push moshing in the vitamin water tent is what I would always imagine. Like just like having free vitamin water, like it's like lanyard music, And I feel like you love lanyards. I'm pretty sure.
Push moshing in the vitamin water tent.
It's like, yeah, like I don't know, like, and I get it and it's fun, but
also they have a great song called Lanyards, by the way. It's interesting.
Oh my God, of course they do, and that's the thing. They're also trying to be cheeky and self-aware, but they're like. They don't have the swag. So, having said all that, I've just kind of tried to sidestep it as much as I could. I am holding back often on this show with the things I say. I'm trying to just goof around. The reason I make fun of things so much is because I grew up reading Mad Magazine, where everything is just you just find something to make fun of about it. It doesn't mean anything. Personally, I think that like music criticism is meaningless. It's like we're talking about sports stats or something. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but like I really do think that this is dog shit. I think it's terrible. And I watched the video and it's so like what I hate about it is that it feels like instead of like an earnest eruption of like real emotion and kind of like the gravitas of rock and this like unbridled energy of that. It feels like a performance of that, and it feels like nerds trying to perform that, and that's like what really bums me out. Is like it's like it, and then it feels like it's like a gross like nerd version of high low divide thing, and then it just makes me feel like it's ruining that for me. But you know, I feel like obviously it's like Springsteen worship, right? But it feels like it's like, I don't know. It's just not like The Killers does it so much better because they're not trying to sound smart. They're just like trying to be as emotional and Americana as possible. And then this is just like so muddled and it feels like a bad essay turned into a song. And then the riffs are so swagless. The video is like so annoying. Like, yeah, I just like really don't like it. And I'm sorry if someone probably got married to this song, and that's fine. People get married to all kinds of shit. I mean, I wore Converse to my wedding, but it was a long time ago, but I'm not proud of it. Like,
of course, I also wore Converse to my wedding.
Your wedding day
were those people.
Your wedding day should be the start of something, it shouldn't matter how cringe it was. So, just let's all agree to disagree, I think. I don't know. I mean, I'm just like, now I'm doing the Sam sputter while I talk.
Because here's what I think is so interesting about it is I kind of understand all of what you're saying and the idea of people whose tastes you don't respect push moshing in the Vitamin Water tent, which is just like so evocative, and I can truly understand. I get it. Also, Hold Save a great song called Chill Out Tent, so like it's sort of become very melodious, that phrase in my mind, but to me, there is something so intrinsically honest about what Hold Steady are doing. Because when I think of other bands doing the like glory of rock shit, it feels so much like they're doing an impression. Like, I love the Killers singles.
They're probably doing an impression of the Hold Steady. Or you're
or they're doing an impression of Springsteen. Like, yeah. I think of the Killers as like performing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but that's why they're an arena rock band and the Hold Steady play 4 nights at the Horseshoe, because the Killers are like taking often, I would say, similar sets of influences. Like, obviously, ultimately, those are not super similar bands, but I think for the purposes of this discussion, I can understand why you brought them up. But they're taking them and trying to make them like focusing solely on the bombast, maybe, and the bombast has its place, and there are obviously bombastic Hold Steady songs. Whereas I feel like the Hold Steady to me are about trying to articulate in a musical way and in a very, very literal lyrical way, like the feeling of hearing a particular Bruce Springsteen song for the first time. Like, what I love about this song in particular, like, obviously we're going to end up talking about the band generally, because this is probably going to be the only Hold Steady episode that we do.
I think we should do more. I mean, I'm down. Sign me up. I'm gonna get killed by some. I mean, no one's. Is anyone left with a dog in this fight? Really? Does this even matter anymore? I don't know.
I think the war has chilled. It is a cold cultural war now. But to me, this is a band where if you listen to this song, like sonically, and they have a few songs like this, like the Hold Steady definitely are like using a very specific palette. And this song is kind of like, what if you built the whole plane out of the Badlands piano breakdown? Like, and they have other songs that sort of do the same thing of like, hey, remember the feeling of like hearing Badlands? And it, a cliche that I use all the time about just like feeling like you're ascending. And not only have they managed to create songs that sort of, at least for certain people, and there's so much about music that you can't intellectualize, but like for me, this hits me in this specific way where I'm like, oh, I'm going to live forever. And the lyrics are that as well. Like the lyrics are.
Okay, hang on. Let me respond to what you just said, because I think it's funny that you say that, because that's exactly what it sounds like to me. Is it's and I love that you say the build the whole plane thing. Okay, that's your thing now. You own that analogy. But I think it sounds like they are.
That's the meanest thing you've ever said to me. Because I know.
It does sound like it almost sounds like convincing in the same way that AI chat is convincing. It's like they took it's only the influences. It's almost like, if you look at what makes people love Bruce Springsteen, it's not just the aesthetics. It's like the explosion of emotion and the world weariness in his voice and the fact that they play for so long that they're like so sweaty. And I feel like the Hold Steady music is more sweaty in the sense that it's for people whose main exercise is like thumbing through used book bins, you know, like that's all they do. It's not like it's there's no like, I just
But
feel
don't
like,
those people also deserve anthems? The thumbers?
but it's not enough of an anthem to me. That's what I'm saying.
You don't
like,
think this is enough of an anthem?
there's
That-
nothing to it. There's a very stock riff, and then a bunch of like, you know, poetry that's dropping.
But
a
stock
bunch
is
of
good. Think about it.
names.
You use stock when you're making food. You use stock, and that's like the basis. Stock isn't bad.
yeah.
Stock is
I
a
mean-
foundational element. I don't do a lot of cooking, but when I do, I often
that's
use
the kind of stock you're talking about. Well, I mean, let's look at it. You know, in art, sure, you need stock if you're making a product to sell. But if you're a filmmaker, maybe you're not using stock. You're walking around getting B-roll that's all fucked up and weird, and you don't know how it's gonna. There's just no like experimentation. It's like a bunch of
interesting.
There's rules that they've abided by, both aesthetically, musically, and lyrically, that they're working within, and there's like. It feels artless to me, is what I'm trying to say.
It's fucking fucked up, man. Okay, let's follow the stock metaphor down, because I actually do think there's something to this, because what you're describing is, I feel like, you know, we have struggled somehow over all these years to like truly define in a clear way where our tastes meet and where they very, very like much separate. But you're talking about the idea of like, okay, if you're making a movie and you use stock, chances are you're making a documentary, right? Like that's where you might employ, maybe you don't have quite as much money, or it's just, you know, a creative decision. So you're going to go to Pond 5, right? You're going to go to one of these sites and you're like, well, I don't have enough money, or yeah, you know, but I want like a nice establishing shot of Detroit, so I'm just going to get a drone shot going over Detroit. Now, like, look, I don't want to see a drone shot in a documentary again, but like as a bad example. And in that sense, maybe
You're not making American movie if you're doing that. You're not like living with Mark Borchardt and making like the real shit. You're making you know, one of that guy's newer docs if you're doing that.
Right. Oh man, we can save this for another episode, but it's like, isn't it depressing that the documentary boom just means that like Joe Berlinger and Chris Smith make the worst movies in the fucking world now? But on this, I'm more comparing it less with American movies, so you have actually totally fucked up my metaphor here. But in my mind, you're describing the difference between like maybe fiction and doc. So like Springsteen has always been about fiction. Like Bruce Springsteen himself is a fiction that he has invented and that he performs very effectively every night. Whereas like Craig Finn and the members of the Hold Steady are not a fiction. Like I have their Wikipedia open now, and I just opened up like the band shot that's on there. And obviously Wikipedia photos are often the cruelest Creative Commons.
I watched the
photos of,
music
like,
video. They're not. Yeah,
that's sort of the vibe. But in that sense, there's this like real honesty to what they're doing. Like and where the Killers, I think, pull from the theatrical bombast of Bruce Springsteen. And again, in this sense, I really think they're only comparable because they've both taken a lot from the man we sometimes call the boss. But the Hold Steady are very much about trying to extract and articulate like the feeling of that music. And in that sense, I can see how it would feel 1 degree removed from a feeling that like you're looking for when you listen to music. Even though like what's interesting to me is I feel like I have a very maybe a more like gut, like just like I feel like my whole experience of music is like below, like from the tits down kind of thing. And even though you're not a big lyric guy, I feel like you do generally experience music in a more contextual, more intellectual way. And that obviously like feeds in also to like our taste in movies.
I made someone really mad. You know, this is old news by now, but I was procrastinating. I had a lot of projects going on. I hadn't done the dishes, and I thought I'm gonna start a fight. So I started defending Meghan Trainor on Twitter this week.
Of course you did.
And somebody got really upset with me because I kept using, I've invented this word symblomatic when I want to seem like I'm trying to be intellectual. I started saying things are symblomatic, and I kept repeating it, and this guy started freaking out and like started stalking me to try to own me. And so he posted actually a negative review of the pod, which I thought was really funny because
that's good. That's new.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen this one before, and it said something about how I wish I still had it. My Menchies are a
So
disaster.
he did listen to the pod.
I don't know if he listened. He was just saying like, "Oh no, you keep repeating the same joke. No wonder your career's not taking off." And I was like, I kept saying "how so" to him because it's a long story. But he said like something about. Anyways, he just like he found like a photo of me, just my normal photo, to show that he like found me, like I'm not the clown guy. But he also found this negative review of the pod that said something. It was someone saying they couldn't handle listening to us because we pretend that we like music, but we're too like emotionally unavailable or something. It was like something really like strange and cutting, and I can understand that on a level, but I also think I'm lying to myself about how I feel. Like lyrics do matter to me. For example, they do matter. It's just
I know they do. You
I
definitely.
prefer,
I know that
prefer
you're
when I
lying
don't
about that.
notice them. Is all I'm trying to say. And I think I try to tell myself that they don't matter so that I can write songs, because I've been trying to finish the same song for like literally 4 years now. You know, it's so hard to do. So I think I'm lying about myself. Here we go. Immature. So this is from 2 years ago. User Uber Umlaut.
Is this on Apple Music or something? Where is this?
Yeah, I think so. Like the aggregator for reviews doesn't really work anymore, so it might be from a different country. Maybe we can't see it. We're being shadow banned by the government.
Okay, that's interesting.
It says immature hosts who pretend to care about music but ultimately come across as emotionally repressed. I also love this part. I listened for a long time but grew out of it after I heard Sam say the word context one too many times. They can be really insufferable. I agree with most of that. I thought I was the one who talked about context all the time, but either way, I think
This looks like it. Is this? I feel like these colors look like Amazon to me, and that makes me realize that there may be an entire platform of reviews for the pod. That
Oh,
we
I
have
didn't
not
notice the
touched
headline
on.
that says, "This is not what people who like music do." That is awesome. That's really interesting. But I think, that's, people often say to me, "You're such a hater." And like, yeah, I hate shit like the Hold Steady, but I think it's because I love music too much to admit. And I'm genuinely not trying to criticize you or say something negative, but I think that
You don't.
the
fact that you're doing that right now makes me feel like it's a criticism.
I just think that you're really stupid. No, I'm kidding. I mean,
that's fine.
I think that you're kind of, in a good way, you're kind of a cheap thrill with stuff. It's easy for you to get caught
Absolutely,
up, to get swept
yeah.
up in the emotion of it. Whereas I can't help it that I've intellectualized it, or I do think about your favorite word, context, according to this reviewer. I get caught up in all these things, and to me, maybe the Hold Steady, based on what they're doing, should have been called Cheap Trick.
All right,
That's good.
That's the pod.
That
That's
was
the
good.
pod.
That was fucking good.
That's the pod, everybody. Look, I completely agree with you. I think for me, it's all about like I am all about like an immediate response, like an immediate emotional and physical response to music. It's very telling to me. I was looking to see how many times I had tweeted about the Hold Steady.
Oh yeah, there's so many, dude.
I have a Hold Steady tweet that's also about Torch.
There's so many. I know.
Yeah, I have probably tweeted more.
I have a friend from Calgary that I was like trying to not hurt his feelings because I absolutely love him. So I think I held back on tweeting about the Hold Steady too much, but I mean, not really. I mean, I've said all kinds of shit. No, I'm lying. Why do I think I'm holding back when I'm not?
I know.
You can't read this one on the pod, but this is. I think I sent
Did you send me one of your own tweets that we can't read? Like this is available. Like this is on a public platform.
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah.
Instead of reading our tweets, though, I was wondering if I could read a few comments on the Vagrant Records upload of the music video for this song.
Yeah,
if that's
sure.
okay.
That's okay.
So this is what I'm talking about. And I understand everyone wants to buy into something that's like I think at this time EDM was more of an emotional thing to buy into than this. For example,
Christ.
It just feels more immediate, and this actually feels similar to the critiques thrown against Greta Van Fleet when they first came out, in my opinion.
Jesus Christ.
14 years ago, someone says, "This is quite possibly the best song written this decade. My God, how did these guys get so awesome?"
Is that for me? Did I write that?
And someone replied,
'Cause I agree.
Someone 4 months ago replied and said, "Not."
Was that you?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Tearing Up. Someone named Tearing Up, also 14 years ago, wrote, "The Hold Steady are good because the songs they write seem to be about themselves. They write songs that seem to be about partying in Minneapolis when they were teenagers. They sound like a bunch of suburban dads trying to rekindle their youth by making a band, which is why they're so cool." And then this bald guy named Paul says, "There's not a damn thing wrong with straight ahead rock and roll, and these cats do it better than just about any band alive." Calling them cats, so that's kind of cool.
That's also
Jason said, "I come back to this song year after year. This may be the greatest Midwestern anthem I've ever heard. It speaks in a simple and honest voice, so familiar that it might as well be gospel. I know this life. I know this despair. I've seen these seasons pass."
Beautiful. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. And that's it. Like, maybe this music doesn't have to be like, you know, you mentioned off the top the idea of, you know, our many discussions around kind of the
absolutely a great
Pitchfork
song.
invasion.
I can really connect with it. Also, what a great video. It all seems to culminate in something almost better than sex. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I might go so far as to say they've improved on that. But there's something informative to me, again, about something you said a little while ago around, again, the sort of like, you know, pitchforkification in that era, the sort of punk suddenly kind of seeming like a viable you know, career path, I guess. And Waves was a band that you mentioned, and I feel like a lot of the bands that were trumpeted, that were celebrated by Pitchfork, that came from genres that they maybe previously had maligned, were bands that, like, first of all, I've never fucking liked Waves, and generally it felt like they were writing about and celebrating bands. There's perhaps a hint there of a future episode, that were only interested in what to me read as like the most superficial
I gotta do
elements
that
of
one
punk.
too. There's no, I can't. And here I think I've been nice so far, but I'm sure, you know, I've probably been.
I think there's a level of respect that you have for this band that you don't have for some of the bands to come, and so it's interesting to see.
To be clear,
like,
I do not respect this band at all. I just think that some of
admit
you
that you do. You have to admit that
some
you
of
do.
you simple-minded bloggers that I knew in the late 2000s. I love you as people. I think you're very kind, and I'm happy that you found this. Is what I'm trying to say.
But is what you hate my favorite word, context? Because I feel like you're circling that a lot, and to me,
No, it's not. And I think that's the thing is like context is an easier way to talk about what something is doing. I just think that there's like, if they had I still think that I secretly believe there is some kind of canon of like sick things that are cool as hell. And I feel like if they had it, it would have transcended the context, and it didn't, because they don't have like the secret sick sauce.
But do they here's the thing, can the Hold Steady be great and not be sick or cool? Because that is increasingly maybe the position that I feel I can stake out here, where I will not be bullied and diminished by you.
I think for me, it's one and the same. I don't really see a difference, because I don't really like a lot of cool things either. But I think that's, you know, for
You
there
like
to be
cool things.
Well, of course I like cool things, but I don't like things just because they're cool, and I don't like things just because they're sick, and I don't like things just because they're great. I personally think that this is like a pantomime.
Oh my God. A pantomime? A pantomime? This is outrageous. See, again, to me, I think of those other bands from this era, and the Hold Steady are coming from punk, but they're obviously not like a punk band really by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah,
So
what was
they're being talked
Lifter
about-
Puller? I think I got them confused with Limb Lifter.
Yo, I wish. Limb Lifter is a sick fucking band. Lifter Puller is like kind of math rocky. It's not, I don't really like it.
Is that related to James Murphy also?
No.
Okay, I feel like maybe his old band was called something else like that. I don't know. Whatever. Forget it.
But I think like the idea that this band is not attempting to exploit the aesthetic trappings of punk. If anything, I feel like they are trying to interrogate the notion of punk in the same way that you and I have been doing over the last 5 or 6 years, and they're doing it through a different set of references, and they're often doing it through narratives as opposed to like 3-hour podcasts. But I feel like it's, and in particular on this album, you know, where they're actually probably younger than we are now when this album is being written, but like there is this sense of being people who have a degree of remove from that moment of like, you know, their youth and of defining the culture that they cared about. And the band has become this vehicle to explore that. And in that sense, like, it is nerdy and it's not cool. But to me, if nothing else, it feels unbelievably honest, because there is a way to do this that could be more deliberately commercial, that could be swaggier. And instead it just feels like a very simple idea executed, to me, to perfection.
And that's great. Yeah, I mean, it's Sam's month, so I'm glad. Like, genuinely, I'm glad. I just think that it's... Yeah, I just keep thinking of mean things to say, so we should just move on.
Maybe you'll have something mean to say, because I feel like this is an album. This starts Boys and Girls in America. This is the breakout album. There's been 2 records before this. They're fucking amazing, but they're, you know, on French Kiss.
Do you like them all? Oh, you like all the... And, okay, French Kiss, so that's also... that. I think French Kiss is an interesting label that's been half forgotten. So I feel like the Hold Steady does have some roots. You know, there's bald guys, there's mustaches, there's questionable fashion. I think there is some Les Savifav in here. There's definitely some like forced celebration vibes going on. But I think, didn't French Kiss also have that band Thunderbirds Are Now? I feel like they had some white belt adjacent stuff as well.
Yeah, there was definitely some like it was a slightly more diverse label, and maybe that's why I feel like any label that doesn't have like one thing that they do is maybe easier to like.
Damn, they're still a label too. That's cute. How are they still labeled? Look at this band. What the fuck? I was like, I saw that band Diet Sig was on there. I'm like, oh, they're still a normal label, but they definitely have some like vanity projects, like this band called Office Romance on here with the guy.
This looks like a band that we're gonna have to watch in the cover section.
It's people from like Seth Meyers' band and stuff. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, the Hold Steady seems like it's for people who watch Seth Meyers. You know?
Okay, come on now. That's not.
Connor O'Malley was on there. I mean, that's something. I was mentioned on there, so you know.
No, look at it. Nothing against Seth Meyers. I just feel like you know what you're doing and you're stepping over a line. And maybe, I think we got to talk. We got to pause. We got to do a reset here.
Okay,
man.
You ready? I intentionally changed my pitch a little bit.
No,
I was gonna say that you know, while I'm doing the internal drafts folder, I was earlier gonna say that the Hold Steady seems like it's for people who've learned about subcultures from reading Rob Sheffield's book about mixtapes at Barnes & Noble from the sale bin.
Okay, that's rude. that's also rude. But I think that there is probably a sizable section of the audience for which that's true.
Yeah, and that's okay. You're allowed to be here.
Are we not allowed? The Rob Sheffield readers amongst us. Just to be clear, I've never read a Rob Sheffield book, but just imagine.
I think
that
I had that book actually, and I read like 2 pages.
So good for both of us for avoiding that. But it's definitely not being written by those people, and in that sense, this is again where it's like, I kind of come back to the like. It's not the band you hate; it may be the fans, and even then.
But to be clear, I really don't like the music as well. I think the music's quite bad. Yeah.
Well, I knew, and I think we should talk a little bit about the lyrics, because once again, you know, this song opens the record. This is on Vagrant. This gets the like big, you know, they get 1,000,000 tens on Pitchfork. This changes the trajectory of this band's career. This song in particular is kind of like this is the hit, right? We talked about this a little bit with the guest. I don't think there's been a live show since this came out where they don't play this. And in general, they're kind of Springsteen-y in that there's like a lot of variation. They play, you know, they do 4 nights in Toronto. They tend to mix it up. This song is always there. But in thinking about this episode, I was like, the lyrics have got to be one of the things that makes you crazy about this song, because it is just like jammed.
And to be honest with you, I actually like... The lyrics are my least hated part, even though the references are annoying. Like, and also, okay, I don't actually know who John Berryman is, and like whatever. Yeah, name drop a poet. Like name dropping Kerouac at the start is kind of annoying, but whatever, it's fine. It was a different time back then. People were also doing ironic racism back then. You know, it's just a different time to be alive. So to be like edgy and know that you know who Jack Kerouac is, whatever. But I really don't like that in the music video, one of the guys holds up a John Berryman book. I think performatively holding up a book is where I draw the line. That's too far.
That's fair. But maybe that's the director. Like, we can't blame them for that sort of creative.
The music video does have a joke at the end, which I appreciate the effort as well.
Right. They're funny guys,
Yeah, I don't mind a clever turn of phrase, especially in music like this. Like I feel like I'm gonna make the Brits cringe. But for example, I think Art Brut pretty cool. Every time I've heard an Art Brut song, I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah,
it's like good delivery. That's a cool band. But this, I think I almost think the lyrics could be more clever and more kind of hard to parse. I think would be cooler.
But that's the thing is, I don't think there's almost no hold steady song that's hard to parse. I think that's the point. Is that
it's clever, but it's also like. In junior high, you could do a school report on it. It's like it's music that's made to do your school report on. And I don't know if I like that about it. I don't think I like school.
But again, I think the idea of doing like clever but accessible, like to me, this is like perfectly middle brow. So like this album opens, with a Kerouac reference and quote, and then you get into like obviously the John Berryman stuff. But even just like to me, this chorus of she was a really cool kisser and she wasn't all that strict of a Christian. Like I get that that's not complicated, but you're like, oh, I like that. Do you not like that? Not just a little bit?
Not really. I don't like that line. I don't owe you an explanation anymore. I've decided.
I sense that. That's why I was like, okay, after I was like, we're going to talk about these, and you're like, the lyrics are fine. I was like, well, then we don't have to talk about the lyrics, because in my mind, I was like, you're going to get mad. What about the bridge, though, okay?
Okay,
we drink and we dry up. We drink and we dry up.
Okay, sorry,
I
do have to say
dust.
That's another thing is I think the Hold Steady, I'm sorry for being such a bitch to you, but I also think when you have a song like this that has a 5-minute runtime, I think you are really up against the clock and you need to earn it. And the bridge was not freaky enough for me.
Are you? This is like this bridge. This is freaky. What freaky shit do you want in a bridge? It's just like an amazing bridge.
It needs to fall apart. It needs to deconstruct. Something needs to happen.
It does deconstruct. You get that beautiful piano part, and then in the bashing, and then the
okay, you know what's a sick?
It's hilarious sounding.
You know what's a sick song about falling in love in America and being a reference-loving poet bard of rock? Mr. Jones by the Counting Crows. Now that's my kind of shit right there. That's a way better. So we should have done Mr. Jones this week.
Well, we do Josiah's month or whatever.
He talks about kisses a lot in it. This song's mostly about kissing, hey?
Yeah, it's just like a little kissing song, which I feel like you listen to so many bands with songs about kissing. That seems like some Josiah shit.
I don't know. I don't think I do. I don't know what I listen to. I listen to stuff.
I finally listened to Pedro the Lion, and all the songs were like, "I'm coming."
Well, yeah,
jizzy.
And to be clear, a lot of people who love this also love Pedro the Lion, and they're not Christian, and that's even weirder. Like, what are you doing? Get out of my culture. What are you doing? I'm staying out of your culture of like agnostic book club guy, like library card boaster. So you stay out of my jizzy Christian man. That's my thing.
He is definitely the jizziest Christian. So that's pretty good. Well, okay, the lyrics then. Look, I mean, no one.
They're fine. I feel like there's just too many. I just feel like this song is too long, and there's too many lyrics that aren't like. Are any of them funny even, or are they just?
Yeah, she was a really good kisser. She wasn't all that strict of a Christian. That's funny. She was a damn good dancer, but she wasn't all that great of a girlfriend.
The fact that he doesn't say good kisser, he says cool kisser. That's so weird. That's like
I honestly thought it was good kisser until I had the lyrics.
She was a really cool kisser. That's like it's like
I'll give you that. It should be good
Simpson
kisser.
Turn of phrase.
It should be good kisser, and that I will continue to sing good kisser when I sing along with the song in the future, which you know I will.
Okay, so but there's nothing else other. So in terms of references, we got Kerouac, we got Berryman, and so tell me about, since you're such a fan, tell me about John Berryman's The Dream Songs. What's your favorite poem? How many times have you read it? What have you given it on Goodreads? Give me the full Berryman rundown.
Well, I would just say, maybe we'll do a exclusive about that because I just have too much to say, and I just think it'll derail kind of where we're at, and maybe it's time to focus back in on the band, or at the very least.
I mean, what I was going to say about it was that it was misinterpreted as simple autobiography, which obviously he mentioned in the sequel. Well, that was about 77 Dream songs.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. So Josiah, you probably don't know this, but it appears that there is a movie set in Minneapolis, a little bit of a perhaps like a light rom-com called Stuck Between Stations. Would you like to watch like a little bit of a behind the scenes video about
I
this?
would love it. And also, to be honest with you, you were taking a few minutes, and I did find this myself while I was waiting for you. I don't want to burst your bubble, but maybe I kind of do want. I just want to let you know that I did know that. So
Okay. Well, congratulations. This comes to us from MPLS TV and City Pages. Now, they're obviously using the song in this behind the scenes thing. I've since watched the trailer for this, which we definitely don't have to do.
I would like to see the trailer too. I would like to know.
Okay.
So
the
Zoe
trailer
Lister
definitely
Jones
does not have the song in it. There's no way that they.
What do you mean you know?
I don't think this movie had the budget to license a real
How do you feel
song.
about Zoe Lister Jones?
Essentially,
I do not have an opinion. Who is that?
meet someone and maybe start to fall in love.
I was really excited or attracted to the
falling in
idea of
love.
just putting that conversation.
Oh, he plays.
against this
His character's name is
backdrop.
Casper. For a second, I was like, "Oh, damn!" The guy co-wrote Casper. It said Casper and co-writer.
Spend
But
this
I-
one night.
Yeah, it's Casper from Kids.
Zoe Lister Jones has become kind of the go-to
This is all we get.
Our hope is to
mid-aging
capture
millennial
what it's like
alt
to spend one of those nights with
actor.
someone.
She's in. I think she's in the Billy Joe Armstrong terrible movie, and she's in. She's in like movies about bands a lot, like
Sam
really.
Rose
If there's a
plays
cringe movie
Casper,
about an indie band
Soul
that came out in the last 10 years, she's usually in it. But
Okay.
she was also in
Great actor, he's
Delocated,
really
so I always thought, oh, she's my
acting
favorite person
partner,
ever because
I
she's in
think
Delocated,
his
and then.
success is now growing.
I mean, I
That's
do
really
love her
exciting to
movies, but
see
for
as he
many
deserves.
much different
Zoe
reasons
Lister
than
Jones plays
Delocated.
Rebecca, a grad
Different
student
kinds of laughs going. Oh my god, that's so good! Did you see that?
There's like a cute little moment with a mustache on a.
There's a
mirror.
mustache painted on a mirror that she walked into, and it was. And I think ultimately the Hold Steady, and there's no way you can argue with this. The Hold Steady is the band version of getting the mustache tattoo on your index finger.
I absolutely would argue with that.
What do you mean? How could you
It's not the
possibly?
band. I guarantee that if you were to like look at a survey of like people with band mustaches and like their Last FM scrobbles, Hold Steady is not in the top 10.
I'm not. I never said that it was what they listened to. I said it's the band version of the mustache.
Well,
finger.
I'm telling you, I don't agree.
We
Would
need
you
the
like to
trailer.
watch-
Yeah, the behind the
let's watch the
scenes is
trailer.
not giving me enough. I need to know what
No.
this is about. I think it's about war. When
Rated R. It's kind of
I wish the
interesting.
trailer was rated R.
No, this isn't a Red Band trailer.
I know you. You're Becky Fine. Well, I'm Casper Phillips. We went to elementary and high school together.
What?
used to cry.
Why is he talking like a robot? Like, what is
I don't
this?
know.
all the time in Miss Beale's class, and your mom would have to come pick you up in the middle of the day.
I don't remember that.
A chance meeting.
Hey, Casper.
It's such a
friends
trailer,
tonight.
which I
I gotta
respect.
kiss
This guy never made another movie. This director, poor Brady Kiernan. Brady Kiernan. Well, he is a camera. He was a camera technician on the Choo
unexpected
Choo Bob
attraction.
show as well.
Oh, okay.
So he did get.
Take girls around the back of your BMX.
Worked like a charm when I was 13.
I don't think that
A
this,
night they will
the
never
music is
forget.
just so great because it feels musically. This does feel like the opposite.
And you know what's funny is,
Yeah, that's my
Michael
boyfriend
Imperioli is
running
in
away
this.
from
oh my
boyfriend.
god! But on the Wikipedia for this movie, it clarifies like it's not. It's not just like specifically.
doing drugs at work.
Oh, I hate that guy, by the way. What's that guy's name?
Faculty Man.
Yeah, I don't like
Zoe
him.
Lister Jones.
Oh, he's great in The
Michael
Faculty, though.
Imperioli and Josh Hartnett.
There it is.
It's
Josh
not
Hartnett.
about who you were.
I do remember you.
Yeah, I know.
This
They
movie's
still make
on
trailers like
Mubi?
this anymore?
Man, fuck
Thank you,
Mubi.
too.
They put all this
That was
bullshit on
totally
here.
disgusting.
It's about who you're going to be.
You ready to go home yet?
But I think, it goes back to the mustache. I think
That's
this.
such a big moment in the film.
I think this movie, it's funny you mentioned the trailer like that. They probably chopped it up and made it like that because they're like, oh, some of these people are actually like low-key famous. But I found it because I quickly checked to see if there was anything weird on Bandcamp, and I found the full soundtrack for this movie on Bandcamp, and it said it was like ambient. So I'm wondering if maybe they just like, whoever distributed it was like, we need to make this look more like it'll appeal to Michael Imperioli fans or whatever.
Yeah, I just assume that they definitely did not have the money for like that all sounds like Jingle Punk's, music.
Like,
to
remember
me.
when somebody would like, I'm trying to think of who it would even be. Like maybe Lindsay Lohan would have like 5 minutes in an indie comedy, and then it would get shelved. But then she would get famous, and then 10 years later it would come out, and they'd like Photoshop her in the front. That's so cool. I love that shit.
It's the best thing about movies for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So we didn't get to hear the song here. Why don't we watch some live videos so we can hear the song? Maybe you're gonna like it by the end. This is them playing it. I
feel bad about this episode. I hope no one's mad at me. I'm sorry.
No, I'm mad at you.
I'm just goofing around.
It's about love. It's about depression.
Okay, hang on. So here's the other thing: is like, presumably the people who like this don't like U2, right? And they think that Bono is cringe, and then he's introducing this song and being like this.
This song is about art. It's about love. It's about depression. It's about alcohol. It's about faith, and it's about everything else that's important to me in this band.
I don't know. I bet there actually is an overlap with
I hope so.
U2 fans and Hold Steady fans. I also think like there's something to like they take a lot of the tropes of like he does a lot of that like stadium rocky kind of stuff, but in this like very like earnest and muted way that again for me is like very appealing. Like there's literally like a standard monologue that is there's a bit of a riff on it that ends the guest spot this week. That like it's to the point where like when they do it, like people will like yell along with this thing, and it's goofy, but it's like beautiful, man. I know you hate that. Now this is something that I don't know if you remember this, but this is like a great thing about this band is that Craig Finn is ostensibly a guitar player in this band, and he basically never plays his guitar. I don't know that it's on.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Like, I thought you'd appreciate that.
But I think the thing that's throwing me off is, like, obviously it looks like a group of piano tutors got together in a big hall to jam together. But it's like, he's wearing a cowboy shirt. Like, I feel like, I can't tell, it's like, is he trying to dress cool? I just wish he'd, like, lean more into being a bald guy, you know? Like, for example, the singer of Proto Martyr, he's a bald guy and he dresses like a realtor when they play. And I think it's way cooler to like just look like a bald guy instead of being like, kind of like, yeah, I was smoking weed behind whatever Stubbs. Like I feel like all these bands are just for people who talk about and have been to and know about Stubbs barbecue. They all have like a Stubbs barbecue shirt, you know?
Yeah, but like that's great, man. Isn't it great to smoke weed behind a barbecue spot in Austin? Like, is that not cool? Or fun?
I mean, it is because I have a good story about Stubbs. When I was eating dinner there at South by Southwest and skipping the Exclaim event that I was supposed to go to because I paid my own way down and I couldn't find the banners that I had. And they've said there was banners waiting for me at the hotel and they weren't there. And I was like, fuck this, I'm going to Stubbs. And I ate dinner and Metallica was playing downstairs with some surprise show. And then
that honestly sounds like a Hold Steady song.
And then I got in a lot of trouble for not going to the Exclaim event.
Honestly, these are all
I still worked there for
to be born.
10 more years after that.
Let's take a look. This is Cologne, Germany in 2009. Like that was sort of more like of the moment. I think this was like kind of fun. I just feel like this was like a good time, and I wanted to look at it. How do you not love? I actually genuinely don't understand how you could hear this and not be like.
I kind of like this part a little bit with the piano. It reminds me of David Comes to Life, or something.
Yeah.
But then.
It's like David comes to life, but then
live.
Damien doesn't come in and start annoying you, you know? Oh, he's such a good frontman, too. Oh.
I don't think I would ever like a voice like this, too, I think.
I mean, in the abstract, like, and I think that's sort of part of the appeal of the band is that you're like, this should be annoying, and instead I love it.
Is he influenced by Randy Newman? Because I know that's something I learned from other AV Club type people and from Pedro the Line is that like they all like Randy Newman. They're all like, oh, Randy Newman is like clever and his songs are all like sardonic. Like this is all very sardonic, right?
It looks like there's at least someone's written a review on Amazon of a Hold Steady album titled Randy Newman Meets Husker Du.
Oh yeah. See, there you go.
I mean, that's kind of the vibe. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Now, I think this might be more... I think I'm trying to, I'm going to give you a little bit of red meat here. Because
I got to say, the live videos are making it a bit better. I think...
Well, this is... Get ready, though. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Because I got to recognize, in the interest of fairness, because I want you to know I'm coming at this from an honest perspective.
I feel like I haven't let you talk at all, so I don't think you need to worry about fairness.
So,
I also whenever you start monologuing, I keep pausing the episode also.
Yeah, that just comes back. So this is, and there are a lot of comments on this video. This is pretty rough. This is a rough watch. I imagine there's some context here that we're missing, but this video does exist, and I think we need to watch it. This is the Hold Steady playing Stuck Between Stations acoustic in 2006, so when it came out, and this is.
Sorry, let me just say something. The riff is just. Na, 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 na,
what do you need out of a riff? What else are you looking for? What are you not getting? What are you not getting?
It's like
it's great.
It's like you somehow practiced guitar enough to be able to play without mistakes, but you never practiced learning how to come up with a cool riff. The riff sucks. I'm sorry. Fuck this riff.
But it's
the
not
piano
about the riff,
helps.
it's about the whole thing.
The YouTube piano saves the riff. This is like a church. This is awesome.
This is like some sit
Where
down.
Is this?
It said New York, but there's this is not anywhere in New York. This is like an outdoor stage. Everyone's seated. It has spoken, this is
This is what the Hold Steady sounds like to me. Always.
I thought that.
The videos I liked, the vocals were lower in the mix because this. Oh, people don't like it on here though.
No, that's what I'm saying. The YouTube comments are quite, and you got to assume that most people finding this are Hold Steady fans. So
it's exclusively for Babel Music. What the fuck is?
I'm not familiar with Now, this is not a thing that I've seen the band do ever, and so I suspect that this might have been one of you got that taking that acoustic bass for a walk.
All the socials for this music site are gone forever. All that's left is this YouTube channel.
Wow, lucky us.
That's so weird.
Well, I don't really want to listen to that anymore.
It sounds the same to me.
Would you like to listen to some covers?
I wonder if that one changed. I wonder if you can tell that approximately how many, what would it be?
It's been
15 hours have passed?
15 hours, yeah.
Now it's Saturday morning. It's first thing Saturday morning, Sam's Month.
Yeah.
How is this a Sam's Month thing, do you think?
How is... I feel like, Sam's Month being... riddled with technical issues and involving having to record at sort of strange times due to scheduling problems, it really is embracing the spirit of Sam's Month.
That's true. That's very true.
And also, doesn't this feel like the only way to do Sam's Month?
It really does. It's interesting. I think what you have is something that I also have, where you also think that you could somehow do, for example, a 2-hour podcast in about 70 minutes, where you're like, yeah, that'll work. It'll be fine.
That'll totally work. Yes, no problem.
Fit it in.
Yeah. I have never learned, because I think if I really thought about it, I would have quit the pod a long time ago. So in my brain, I'm like, yeah, it'll be like 90 minutes. That's
it'll
fine.
Be easy. Yeah. Well, instead it's no problem. Saturday
if I really
morning.
thought about it, instead it's Saturday morning. And you have trapped your wife in a room. I've trapped my wife. So we're punishing our families.
So pay us for that. Go to patreon.com/155pod to pay us for that. And Sam, let's check out. I already forget what we're talking about. The Hold Steady.
Yeah, don't act like you forgot. We were just about to start covers before we had to stop recording because it was Friday night, which I think was like a new pod time for us, and Saturday morning also
We've done
pod
Saturday
time.
morning. We did Damn It on a Saturday morning. I remember, or maybe it was a Sunday. It was definitely a morning.
Oh, why did we do like the biggest episode?
Because we're like, it's going to take all day, and it kind of did.
Oh, okay. That's good. Okay, I get that. Well, this might also take all day, but hopefully this starts your morning off right. Are you ready to listen to other people playing a song that you love, Josiah?
Absolutely.
All right, well, here we are. We got a band that I bet you love. This is Titus Andronicus with Craig Finn.
I keep forgetting that they're not the same band.
Want to hear that real Minneapolis show
Right, yeah. And I think this is...
Craig Finn is kind of like if Vic Berger was trying to be a punker.
Pretty sure you know the words to this one, but even if you don't,
So how do you actually feel about Titus Andronicus? What's your...
I think I saw them the same year as I saw the Hold Steady, but I'm not like... I think all these bands just sound like David Comes to Life to me, but like the songs in the middle third where you're like, I need to listen to something else.
When Fucked Up were doing... And there was like around the time where like the pandemic was easing up and shows were starting, and so there were those Fucked Up shows where they were playing David Comes to Life in its entirety. And it was also the first time that I realized, I was like, oh, the pandemic is truly over, because I had tickets, and then I think it like snowed or something, and I was like, I don't want to go to hear, like, there's a lot of chaff on that record, and I just didn't go.
Just to be sure that no one freaks out at us about that on Twitter, the pandemic is not over. And if you go to dinner, you're committing murder. So
that's true, yeah. But okay, I kind of like
this part of the song, actually. I kind of like that part where the guitar riff climbs up.
First you like the beginning, and now you like this. And I like this because I feel like Craig Finn is getting to live out some version of like a hardcore front person fantasy here, but still like in the context of this song.
Yeah,
which is really fun.
Also by a guy who's probably just seen American hardcore or something. It's like,
okay, this is not. You're wrong about Craig Finn, man. All right, how about this? I bet you love this guy. I can't tell if we've actually made fun of this person on the pod or we've just sort of danced around it, but let's see how you feel about Frank Turner covering Stuck Between Stations.
I'm pretty sure I hate this guy so much.
Yeah, of course you do. He sucks.
You don't like him either, right?
No, I do not. I do not care for Frank Turner.
Frank Turner is definitely like one of those like artists that earnest coworkers love to recommend. No matter what job you have, someone will be like, "Oh, have you heard Frank Turner? It's so good," and you're like, I actually have a meeting right now.
I feel like Frank Turner is the thing that makes me like, there's just, Frank Turner sort of exists in the back of my mind as like, what if I am wrong? Because I feel like everyone who likes all the bands that I like that you hate also likes Frank Turner.
I know,
but I refuse to recognize that those things could conceivably be related.
Frank Turner is like one of those people who people think that they're into something so underrated and underground because no one's heard of it yet, but it's actually because everyone's just like politely sitting it out, you know?
Right, yeah. They're just like, this is fine. But like, I think, I bet every band that we talk about this month, like Frank Turner has covered, or again, like the Venn diagram, the fans of those bands and friends of Frank Turner are like basically two circles on top of each other, except for me. I'm like the cool outlier. I'm different, okay? I'm not like those other people. Anyway, this is bad. Here's a guy that I've labeled in my notes as Hair King. And I made these notes a little while ago, so I don't really remember. Oh, yeah, this guy just like loves the haircut that he got.
That's so good. He's keeping horror punk alive, I think.
Yeah, this guy kind of looks like a couple of dudes. So it's like not quite a swoop. It's not quite the Hitler Youth, but it's like a swoopy Hitler Youth, basically.
It's like that. Was there like a cartoon movie when we were kids about like a rockin' rooster or something?
Yeah, Rockadoodle. Rockadoodle?
Yeah, you're right. It's Rockadoodle. He has the Rockadoodle hair.
Yeah, this guy's basically Rockadoodle. And so he's playing the hair as much as he's playing the guitar.
Yeah, well that's good because he's not doing much. He's not having to do much on the guitar. They haven't given him much to do.
No, that's true. Well, let's see how you like this. Now, I just labeled this as Basement Whites is what I wrote here as a description of this cover.
Well, that is a really good basement, actually.
Yeah, right? This is unfinished basement. We got just like the concrete walls. You know this is going to sound, like a Liars record. Oh, it is happening. It's just a
very
little quiet.
I do like the Casio, and the drum is like completely motionless.
I feel like they're adding. It sounds like an extra.
I feel like I can hear an acoustic. Oh, the piano's making it sound acoustic. Okay, this is great.
I thought you'd dig
This
this.
kind of vocal delivery done by a teen.
Shockingly, like there are not a lot of teens who have covered this song. It's pretty good.
Yeah, this one's good. What are these teens' names?
I don't know. I bet they're all named Matt.
Yeah, they definitely have Matt or Matthew energy.
Sorry, this
Epod
is
86. Cheap Date and the Mistakes. That's the working name of their band, and it's Josh, Nick, Matt, and Eric.
Yes.
Can you guess which one is Matt?
Oh, I mean, I've already scrolled ahead. I do know that Matt is the drummer, unfortunately.
I might have guessed.
But I'm not
Actually, I
shocked.
probably
I'm
would
not
have guessed
shocked.
the singer bassist was Matt. Probably. Oh my god.
Yeah, that one guy's hitting those Franz harmonies real nice. Okay, how do you feel? This I labeled
It's almost
as
like
fake
it's almost like a Darkness album track in the way that it rocks. It's like not even a hit by the Darkness, you know?
Oh, I thought you meant Darkness on the Edge of Town, and I was like, I agree.
No,
That
it's
is
like kind of
exactly
like
what it sounds like.
seems
It sounds like something
It seems like you're like
from those sessions.
Oh, I believe in a thing called love. I'm gonna check out the albums, and then you're like, oh, what is this? Maybe
Love
I've never
Is
even
Only a
heard.
Feeling is a good.
I've never
is
even
a
heard
good
their
other
albums.
Darkness song.
To be honest, I never heard them, so I don't know.
I'm going to listen to Love Is Only
It's
a
the
Feeling.
morning.
That's the only other. You don't want to listen to the Darkness on a Saturday morning, but maybe you want to listen to a guy that I've labeled as Fake Archers Guy cover this, and I think by that I meant that he's singing like the guy from Archers of Loaf. Eric.
Archers of Loaf is really like the built to spill for these kinds of guys, hey?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
For like Hold Steady fans.
I think he kind of looks like him. Yeah. You know, Archers of Loaf is the built to spill for Hold Steady fans. Yeah, I just want to get to this man's delivery. Piano is like really hard to integrate into a rock band. I
Also,
think that's
like-
like an understated part of what Hold Steady have done effectively.
They love to have like way too many guitars just playing a G and a D chord.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Sing it, Eric Bachman.
Oh man.
Also, where do you think this is? Like, is this a bar? Is this a house show?
I think it's a house. I think it's like a. Well, I think doesn't the guy. Wait, am I thinking of a different guy, or does the guy from Archers of Loaf do like house concerts?
Maybe. I don't know. It seems like something you would do.
What's that guy's name?
I think it's. I
Eric-
keep saying Eric Bachman. But
Yeah,
am I-
you're right,
Like,
you're right.
I didn't Google it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think he does
All right,
like. I think that guy does like. He'll go to like Red Deer or something and do like a little house concert, and it's like $40 to get in. David Bazan was
That's
doing
nice.
that shit too. These AV Club guys love to do that kind of. Oh wow!
Oh, yeah, I remember-
This
I think,
this is incredible.
Yeah, this is. So, do you think that Ask Your Mom, who I guess is like a cover band, would play your living room? I don't know. I
So
think
wait,
they're-
is
they
this
might
a
be too
Hold
big time.
Steady cover band called Ask Your Mom?
It never occurred to me that they could be a Hold Steady cover band. I just thought they were like a sort of.
This seems like it's from like a Mike Schur TV show. Yeah, you're right.
Let's
They do all
see.
kinds of. They do Space
Yeah,
Hog.
they're doing
Tom
ZZ
Petty.
Top. They're doing
Alanis Morissette, The Doors, and the Hold Steady. I mean, this is who you're in. This is who
I
you've chosen
know.
to align with. Is a band called Ask Your Mom.
Look at the covers. The covers didn't fill me with like confidence coming into this episode. This band is like playing a bar that has a projector at the back that has their band logo and photo on it, which is. I mean, I don't know. It's just 5 middle-aged guys, and it says "Ask Your Mom" on it. But let's see what they do with this song. I love that they thought "Ask Your Mom" was like kind of.
Well, I was
like
just gonna to
clever.
quickly say because it's like not people say your mom obviously as like a childhood thing, but Ask Your Mom is like the classic dad thing to be like, I don't know, ask your mother. That's like so good.
They're pretty funny. "Ask Your Mom's" got jokes. the singer has like a cool hat on.
Oh, this is an
He's got
important video. I
sunnies.
can already tell.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
there is
rocking.
another guitarist in the background. He's just hidden away. He has such sound tech vibes that you didn't even notice him.
Oh, the tambo's out.
There were nights when I think that Sal Paradise was right.
This is the best version of the song.
Boys and girls in America.
I'm so. Normally I like when the vocals are quieter, but this time,
No, this you want to hear these.
Each
Yeah.
other
right up
down at
front.
the demonstration, making sure their makeup straight. Getting Mother Melder with colossal expectations. She does it undisciplined and sleeping late. She was a real good dancer, but she wasn't all that strict of a Christian. She was a damn good dancer, but she wasn't all that great of
Ask
a
Your Mama, Dad
girlfriend.
Band, founded in 2005 from Bedford, New York. We
She
rock.
like the warm
Just ask
feeling,
us.
but she's tired
We
of
play
all
other
the
people's songs, sometimes their
dehydration.
own.
They're pretty good. Now let's check out. Here's another great. Oh, this is good. Actually, sorry, you're gonna love this. This is a band called the Susan Constant. This is like it coming from a very surprising. Like, I think you're gonna like this.
Wow, the singer has got some swag.
Yeah, the singer like definitely swags through it.
My favorite part is your Craig Finn impression. Totally spot on. I think this is beyond.
But I feel like he's doing like Blood Brothers hands.
Yeah, totally. This has Scrams vibes.
Yeah.
But all the backing bands, this one and Ask Your Mom, they both seem like they're from like a Mike Schur TV show where you're like,
Yeah, for sure.
Mouse Rat or whatever.
All right, well, let's check out someone I've labeled as Piano King.
It's a
I
great
think.
song called Stuck Between
Oh, yeah, this is great. Like, we very rarely get a piano video that has an intro.
Yeah,
And so,
that's true.
This guy's,
It adds. Usually, there's like so much mystique because the piano is such a beautiful instrument, but instead we get this.
no, and because the Hold Steady are an intrinsically honest band, that's what you get. So let's. I want to give him time to introduce this.
This is a great song called Stuck Between Stations by the Hold Steady. They're a really great band. This is just the piano solo in the middle of the song. I'm going to play it through quickly once so you can hear what it sounds like, and then I'll play it through more slowly so you can see exactly what my hands are doing.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, straight up, like this on like a kind of out of tune real piano sounds fucking awesome. You have
It's
to.
not even. This isn't even the same song, is it? It sounds
Yeah,
nothing
this
like
is the
it.
breakdown.
Oh yeah, this is way
Drink
better.
it, we dry up, and then we.
This is the best. This is really good.
So sick.
So good.
I don't know. I can't remember what this was, but I've labeled it as Mystic Man. Oh yeah, I think this is again mostly like a sort of video treat. It's a guitar cover, but he's got like a mirror effect
Yeah,
going,
like this-
so it's like a little.
I guess this is the era of photo booth on
Yeah.
your MacBook. Was there a different name for Mac laptops back then? I don't think so.
Your iBook.
Yeah, this is from 2008.
Yeah, that's the era.
Very cool video. That's neater than shit. How you doubled it. This is awesome, man.
I also just like that, so he's really, really hunched over, which is like, he's sort of got the Craig Finn pose, but it's also just like, looks like he's having back problems. And then there's sort of what appears to me to be an attempt to kind of do some set decoration and stack up some vinyl, but of course they're stacked vertically.
Well, none of them have been put away either, so this guy does not respect his vinyls.
This guy, but you know who probably does respect their vinyls? I don't know about this band, but I would say the people maybe, who booked this band. You made a comment yesterday about the idea of wearing cons and having the song played at your wedding. Well, don't worry. The side tracks are here as a wedding band to play this song at someone's wedding, and it's great.
Oh my God. A lot of bassists who sing with these covers.
It's true, and a lot of fedoras.
I think that guy wearing that almost Indiana Jones style fedora is allowed to, because he's the saxophonist, he's pulling it off.
Yeah, that's true. He's got sunglasses on too.
The person filming just covered the mic with their hand, I think.
But like people are
They're
loving
dancing.
it.
How many people do you think
Everybody's
know the song? This song the reason I don't like this song is because it's for Mike Schur characters. That's what it is.
What do you got against Mike Schur?
He sucks. I hate that shit. Smarmy bullshit.
No, maybe we'll know because they're about to get to the breakdown. Unless this is the end of it.
This is like definitely music for people who badly want to wear a Dunder Mifflin shirt in public, but know that they shouldn't.
So I just wondered. So if people sing along to this part, then we'll know.
Yeah, well,
that they
okay,
knew
yeah.
it. Otherwise, they're just being good wedding guests.
Whoa, what has she got? The singer.
I don't know. It's like waving the percussion around. Okay, there's like they keep not showing the audience. Unfortunately, there's like three people who seem to know the hits.
You don't
like
want to be outed as a poser at a wedding. That's the camera person is being kind.
All right, well, Josiah, we've gone all the way from Minneapolis to the wedding. I guess if that's a journey. The covers, maybe they help you more than they help me. But after
do you have any? Is that the last one? Because I actually did,
that's it.
When I was searching yesterday, when I found the soundtrack for the movie, I did find this, and I don't know if this is a cover or not. I just sent it to you on GChat. This is 9 minutes long, and it's called "Stuck Between Stations." Like this, that's not a. Oh, I don't want to get into phrase debates again, but is "stuck between stations" a phrase or no? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, I don't think being no.
Did you know there's holdsteady.fandom.com? There's like a whole.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God. Anyways, so I think this might be a cover, but it's by something called Mini True, all one word, Mini True, and then porno section. But it's actually pretty cool. If you hit play, we'll have to hit play separately, but.
Okay.
It's beautiful, kind of.
I'm playing.
It sounds like they might have just like extremely slowed.
Because it's labeled as ambient.
I don't know. It's hard to tell if it's.
Well, as it plays out, do you want to talk about your final thoughts?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So 2 days of talking about Stuck Between Stations. A lot of humming, a lot of starting and stopping. How do you feel about the song Stuck Between Stations by the band Hold Steady, Josiah?
I mean, I'm glad that everyone's having fun. I guess.
No, you're not.
I guess when it boils down to it, I always felt like it's a cop-out to say something's not for me. But as I get older, I really wish that I would say it more often. So I'm just going to go ahead and say the Hold Steady, not for me, but I'll talk about it anytime you want because I think this is actually a really fun one to spot the differences between us, I think.
Yeah, for sure. When we finished recording last night, we've acknowledged that this has happened over a few days. We were chatting about it, and I was like, this was like a really fun. This was like a fun conversation because you and I have talked around this, and I do like trying to interrogate those things because in general, like I do unfortunately like hold you in somewhat high esteem. Like I respect your taste and the context that you often bring to these sort of artistic conversations, whether they're about the Ataris or they're about Blink-182 or they're about the Hold Steady. And for some reason in my mind, this is a band that merits a more like intellectually engaged conversation than the Ataris, which is maybe not fair to the Ataris. because all we did was sort of laugh through that episode. But it's fun to have an episode that's more about like really trying to dig in and understand like what it is about something that says something completely different to you than it does to me. Even though I'm right and you're wrong because it's my month.
Well, I really hope you started the guest spot with yourself humming, because that'll make it a great segue if we both hum.
Okay, let's try it. I don't remember if I did, but let's. Okay, hum.
Love it. Oh my God.
It's happening. You heard the spooky voice. The listener didn't hear the spooky voice. That's just for you and I. Please welcome to the pod. We've been talking about this band for a long time in our lives.
So long.
KW from Vile Creature. What's going on?
Hey babe. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm very well. It's a blessed day. Any day I get to talk about my like decades-long hyperfixation is a great day for me. And I know this is like a 20-minute chat, but like the extended Patreon only version that we record in a year that's like 10 hours long will be like the highlight of my life.
When I sort of break up with Josiah and set up the I don't know what a good Hold Steady podcast name would be, but when I do that, like that's really when you're going to shine. When you and I sort of have our little secret family off to the side talking about
100. When we chloroformed Josiah, then I ended up taking his place. And
exactly,
it'll be the Hold Steady. I think it's like 146 or something. Yeah.
Okay, Hold Steady 146. It's not, it doesn't make as much sense as Blink 155 did, but you work with what you've got. Your fascination with this band and other bands that we have talked about, like you love, so for people who have not heard Vile Creature is very heavy. It's crushingly heavy. You and I are on video chat right now. Other people can't see you. You have long flowing Hesher hair. You're covered in black tattoos. And you love, like, you look like a, I mean, I know that you are not menacing, but perhaps if I saw you on the street, I'd be like, well, there's a menacing long hair come to shove me into the toilet. Not me.
That's a very nice compliment. Thank you. As someone who
cool.
got shoved into the toilet many times when they were younger, I do appreciate the, I have been told that there's a juxtaposition of like me on not a good day walking is not like, it's not a person you would necessarily approach, but then I like open my mouth and it's like, oh, happy queer. And then it's all fine. That's generally my steez. But yes, I do play in a band that is quite heavy and the music I listen to is quite not.
Yeah. And so you are obsessed, as far as I can tell, with two things: the Tragically Hip, that's another podcast, and the Hold Steady. No one in my life loves this band the way you love this band. I have a few friends that like them. I got a few friends, some of them are named Josiah, who are have not been sold yet. But you are like truly the epitome of, like, you're on the message board, like, you're often like, when we were texting about this, our last text messages is you being like, oh, do you need tickets, like, for when they do their residencies in Toronto at the Horseshoe Tavern. Is the Hold Steady your favorite band, or is this just the band that you have fixated? Because sometimes you fixate on things that aren't necessarily. Where does the Hold Steady sort of sit in the universe of your taste and your fandom?
So the truth is that I think I rotate between the Hip and the Hold Steady as a favorite band. They occupy a very similar space for me. Like,
do all your metal friends know this?
Yeah, I'm unabashed about my love for these bands, and I will preach the good word to anybody who will listen. And
have
generally,
you converted anyone? Yeah, like, are you like someone's like, I do love, it's a good life if you don't weaken.
I will say I had a really fun conversation with a person to not be named, but they are a YouTube music reviewer who people seem to really like a lot, who like hadn't really gotten into the Hip, and then I sent them a bunch of songs in order to listen to, and then the text message back were like, this band does a really good job of like all this, that like alt rock style of the 1990s with psychedelic that people tried to do, but it didn't work very well. I'm like, yeah, it's because they're that band from that time that crushed it.
That's exactly what they were. That's a convincing impression via text message of a popular YouTube music voice in the space.
Yes,
yeah,
lovely person, but also hilarious of live reviews of a band that I love. But yeah, no, I've like, for me, I know we're talking about the Hold Steady. For me, the Hip was, I grew up in Florida, but I came up to Canada in the summers, and I always hated Florida, and I was always looking for like. I think when I was a kid, I just always looked for something to gravitate to that was like, that kind of held me down as far as like my Ontario roots. Like, I was born in rural Ontario, and then when I was 2, I moved to South Florida. So coming up every summer, the one thing I would hear all the time is the Tragically Hip. And then I think the first time I brought it up down south in Florida, it was like, what's that? No, that's stupid. Punch. So I just like fixated on them, and I didn't realize until I was probably in university that they were like kind of a bro rock band.
Right, where you're all of a sudden you're all these other context clues you sort of fill in for you, and you're like, oh, I see, I see.
That's it. Yeah. So I saw them the first time at like the House of Blues in New Orleans, and there was like 150 people there, and they were all like 40 to 55 years old and had flown down from Ontario to go see them. And I was like, oh, dad rock. Okay, this is dad rock. And I am now like a 19-year-old dad. Got it. Perfect. No problem.
Yeah, this is my identity.
But the same thing happened. So for me with the Hold Steady, it was I was on tour playing drums for this terrible punk band in like 2010 or 11. And they were doing this thing where whatever city we were in, they would play songs related to the city, which was kind of a cool idea. And then we were in Memphis, and I heard the song Sequestered in Memphis, and it blew my fucking mind. And I was just like, remember being like, can you play that song again? Just one more time. I think after 3 times, they got really upset with me. And I ended up like I didn't know what the band was. I ended up finding out the info. And then just, what was it? I had my laptop, and I ended up soul seeking it and putting it onto my iPod, and then just listening to it on repeat on like my drive home from Atlanta at the time. It was like an 11-hour drive. And I listened to Stay Positive and Boys and Girls in America on repeat for a 10-hour drive. And from then I've probably listened to them once a day, every single day. And that's like 13 years running, and I'm not exaggerating.
Wow. I believe you. I do. I can see it in your eyes. You were telling the truth. Do you have it's so interesting to me that that's I didn't know that was your entry point for the band. I sort of assumed that you were like, maybe you were into Lifter Puller and you were into the early records, but no, you came in like, even post Boys and Girls, because Boys and Girls, of course, is like, that's the Pitchfork record. That's the thing. That's where I come
100%.
in. Given that you're coming in at what is, I mean, contextually now not a later date, but feels in terms of their like rise a slightly later date. What's your favorite Hold Steady record? I also don't know the answer to this question.
It's probably if the 2s and 3s of people here who like the Hold Steady who are gonna listen.
No, there's
I hope
fans.
so. I have so much to say. They're such a perfect, wonderful, angelic band, and just the perfect mix of like punk and dad rock. It's just the best. Like no other band can mention the Locust, Husker Du, and the Mountain Goats in a song and do it well and not have it be kitschy, and they can do that. They in the single song Girls Like Status, they do it. My favorite record of theirs is Teeth Dreams, which is their it's by far my favorite record. So when I started listening to them, it was like probably 3 months after Heaven Is Whenever came out, which is the first record they had where Franz Nicolai, who's the keyboardist and for all intents and purposes one of the important song components for that band that kind of held them apart for their first 4 records was the keyboards and how they incorporated keys into their style. And he left. Heaven Is Whenever is a record where they started to they kind of tried to replace it, but they just didn't. You could tell that they wrote the record with Franz in the mix and then just kind of took out his parts and added some guitar. It was really, there's some great songs, but it's just really disjointed.
Weekenders is one of my favorite Hold Steady songs.
Weekenders is phenomenal. Hurricane J is an amazing song. Rock Problems is still like that.
Rock Problems is good.
Songs. Rock Problems is solid. Ascension Blues, the last song on that record, is super great. And also like the B-sides from that record are like separate Vacations, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's actually, oddly enough, it's my favorite Hold Steady song is a B-side from Heaven Is Whenever. And it's phenomenal. I don't ever understand why those songs didn't end up on the record, because they're some of their greatest songs.
But they're kind of they're one of those bands, right? Like
100%.
The B-sides to Stay Positive are also some of the best Hold Steady songs, right?
Oh, and they're still played to this day. Like
that's the thing, those are live staples. Live 100%. Staples.
Yeah, it's perfect. But yeah, they so Teeth Dreams, they got Steve Selvage, who used to play in the band Lucero, and he came in and acted as their third, quote unquote, really second guitarist. You wouldn't really call Craig a guitarist. It's just kind of an affect for him.
He kind of just vibes with it. Yeah.
100%. But yeah, it's the first one that they wrote with him in the band, and the way that they put it together and the way that album is structured, Teeth Dreams, it's such a solid. It's the first time that they go a bit above mid pace. They get really moody in their guitars. It's not just the voice, like it's not just Craig being moody in his lyrics, but like the first song on that record is just talking about how like I hope this whole thing doesn't frighten you. The first song on that record is such a beautiful story encompassing everything you heard from like the first 3 Hold Steady records, where they were more telling the tale of like Holly and Gideon and Charlemagne, the characters that are in the lore of this band that they're telling, that just kind of these townies who move through life not really knowing what to do. It's kind of the focal point of a lot of Craig's songs. There's like, it's Teeth Dreams almost acts as like an epilogue to me for that, and it just starts with like talking about ex-hardcore and punk guys who become weird right-wing militia dudes, and I'm just like, oh shit, they're back. And that whole record start to finish is just it's the one that I go to if I listen to a recorded record of theirs. I listen to Teeth Dreams start to finish. Otherwise, I'm generally just listening to live recordings because I'm that nerd. Where I think I have 150.
I'm not surprised.
Live shows on my. I still use an iPod, and I have about 115 gigabytes of live shows of theirs, and that's just what I rotate through. I just listen to different shows.
That is so beautiful, and I love to hear it. And something that I want to hear you articulate, because I love this band like so profoundly. This is one of my favorite bands. I mean, I don't know, I'm not a teenager, so I don't know that I'm prepared to rank them, but I love them so much. And Josiah, who I share a huge part of my brain with now after years of doing this podcast, hates them so much and feels like they are the epitome of and I look, he and I haven't recorded this yet, so I can't tell you some specifically annoying thing that he said, but the vibe, he just feels like it's like dad rock. I think he thinks of like Toronto guys in like suit jackets, like his sort of cliche of like a guy with a suit jacket over a Japan Droids t-shirt or over a CBGB t-shirt or whatever.
Yeah. Fair.
And I think he's wrong. But for you, what do you think people misunderstand about this band when they dismiss them as middling dad rock, honestly?
I feel it's a lot of the same thing that people do with the Weaker Thans, to be honest. The Weaker Thans are a band that I feel like a lot of people just kind of view as just like middling indie rock. Just like, okay, it's just interesting indie. It's like, it's whatever. It's kind of interesting indie rock. But then you like dig into the stuff that John K. Samson is saying. And like, I'm not a huge Weaker Thans guy, but I have so much respect for his, the way he puts his vocals together, the way he phrases his songs, and then what he's saying. Like he's a modern poet, and it just happens to come out through his lyrics. Mm-hmm. For me, the Hold Steady absolutely has like, that crowd is split 60-40, where like I've been to enough shows, 60% it's people who heard Rock Problems and like Stay Positive on college radio and have like decent finance jobs. There's a lot of that, but like 40% is just like crusty looking punk dudes like me going to the show, getting stoked because like they're a band that was steeped in like, from Lifter Puller and the bands they were in before, they're a band that's steeped in like Minneapolis punk rock. They're a band that will talk about like, again, Negative Approach, The Locusts, Husker Du. They have a song on their newest record that is literally framed around a Van Halen song. Like, they're a band, Craig's lyrics and the way that they are as a band is just so steeped in alternative music, and not like alt rock, but like punk and like DIY hardcore, DIY punk rock. They're a band that never left that, even though their interests are different, which I think is why I always really identified with them, because I'm a person who like plays heavy music, has an appreciation for heavy music, and I don't really listen to a ton of heavy music. It's just the thing that comes out of me, and it's how I emote. And I think they emote through just like really rad kind of bar rock riffs and intensely like leaving it up to your imagination style lyrics that are telling a really set and interesting story that generally anyone can relate to. Like a lot of people know a lot of townies. A lot of people have a lot of weird drug stories. A lot of people have a lot of weird alcohol stories. Or know someone who did. And I feel like it's just kind of talking about, like, I don't know, stories of the time, if that makes sense. And it always really resonated with me, even though, like, I was never really a drug guy. I was never really had a ton of that. But, like, I have some weird, as a person who toured a lot and still tours a lot, I have a lot of understanding of, like, watching townies happen. It's so interesting.
And you're spending time in bars. I mean, I think if you love or are just sort of forced through your profession to be in bars, that's sort of who it feels like the band is for. And maybe if like you don't like or you don't go to bars, like maybe that's it. because Josiah, I mean, he used to go to bars, so maybe that's his problem. Maybe it's that he's too straight edge now.
Well, it's true, and it's funny because I don't even drink. Like, I don't drink. I just have spent time in bars and places with alcohol. But also, like, I don't know. I've found a lot. Like, as nerdy as it sounds, like I've found a lot of myself in those songs, and I found my way through problems by just like, I don't know, listening through the music. It just clicked with me in a way that I sometimes have a hard time describing, and it never really let go. For Josiah, it just seems like he hates fun. It seems like fun is something that it doesn't like. And honestly, I don't have time for that. I don't know why anybody would have time for not having fun. It's not, we're not on the earth for a terribly long amount of time. I get that like shit sucks sometimes, but like the Hold Steady's fucking fun. Can we say fuck on the pod?
Yeah, this is like an independent podcast. It's
not fucking like... right, bud.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Don't worry. Yeah, let the Ontario out.
Oh well, don't give me that leeway. Yeah, no,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe you can swear, but don't be too Ontario.
Oh, okay. No fam. No my guy. Got it.
Yeah. Don't talk about hacking darts. Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, shit. Now I'm out of things to say. No, it just seems like Josiah hates fun because like the Hold Steady are a fun band.
Yeah.
Who just play music you can like nod your head to and enjoy. And like if you appreciate music that you have to think about, they got thinky lyrics. If you just want to hear some riffs, they got riffs. If you want to hear some just ignorant bangers, they got ignorant bangers. There is something for everybody inside the Hold Steady, unless you are just like a cranky bastard. And if you're a cranky bastard, they have something for you too. You just got to get over yourself.
This is great. I'm gonna pass on all of this to him. You were when we jumped on the call, you were disappointed that he wasn't also on the call so that you could address this to him. But my solemn promise to you is earlier in the episode, you will have heard me be like, "Hey, man, KW had some shit to say to you." So like,
yeah, and I will happily address this. This is nothing I wouldn't say face to face. I just like, for me, it's one of those things that I like. So I don't hate any music. I think hating music is stupid. It's just art. You can have art that's not for you, but like trashing an art, and I'm not saying this is what Josiah is doing, but trashing an art or trashing someone liking an art is juvenile and dumb, and it doesn't make any sense because if people get enjoyment out of it, unless it's like fucking racist or homophobic or et cetera on that list, like there's no harm in ignorant music. Like stupid music is a wonderful thing. You guys literally have a podcast that was breaking down 155 Blink-182 songs, and no one would call Blink-182 Rhodes Scholars. Like, music is fun. Art hits everybody personally, and I get if you don't like it, but hating the band is just it's uncouth. It's unbecoming of Josiah, and I hope that he gives them a true shot because there is so much radness to be held inside the Hold Steady. And for anybody who listens to like punk rock or like their parents' music was just kind of like, I don't know, anywhere from like alt rock to like hair metal, like they have like Quiet Riot riffs in their stuff. Like they're a band that's so worth listening to. And if you like punk, hit up Almost Killed Me or Separation Sunday. If you like thinky music, Separation Sunday, Boys and Girls in America. If you just want like ignorant riffs, Teeth Dreams, Stay Positive. And ignorant riffs not in like the hardcore way, but just like rockin', just like gnarly rock riffs, like that stuff. The newest records, Open Door Policy is just like weird, and a bunch of guys in their early 40s just like trying things while still being held down in like rock and roll. And it's just there's something interesting and fun in every one of their records, which I love. And if it's not for you, that's totally okay. But if you hate it for no reason, it's ignorant and uncouth.
So I do want to know if other people in your life like this band. Like,
absolutely
do you must have but do you have a Josiah in your life? Like, do you have intimate haters basically in your circle?
My partner, who I live with, play in a band with, own a business with, and have been married to for 6 years.
Yeah, so they do not care for it.
Do not care, will never care. I did get to trick them once. I was listening to the song Spices from their last record, Open Door Policy, on the day it came out, and it's just got this weird like mid 2000s kind of like third wave, I don't know, like post-hardcore or emo riff that comes in that starts, and they were just like, this riff is cool. I'm like, just wait. I'm like, oh, you like this, huh? And then he starts singing, and my partner Vic just like looks at me from the stairs and goes, and then walks upstairs. Yeah. I don't have a. You're my hold steady friend. I've got a couple friends. I've got a couple.
I'm
friends
glad to
who,
be.
like,
I'm glad to be your hold steady friend.
yeah, I've got a couple friends who like dig the band, but it's I don't know. It's we all have interesting weird brains, and mine has a tendency to when I find something that I love, there's no way for me not to love it with the entirety of my heart, and then a couple other organs as well on top of it.
Yeah, just pile them on.
Yeah, 100%. You just it's a turducken of joy. And I just something clicked with me on the hold steady. I was in a weird place and I just listened to those records on that 11 like 10 11 hour drive and they just became something that gave me so much comfort, so much joy. And yeah, I don't know. They were that they I wouldn't ever say that they like saved me from anything, but they like really helped me figure out who I am, what I like, and to not be ashamed of what I like. And it was a really important, like, it's a really important band for me. And everybody's got these. If you're listening to a music podcast, you have a band that in your heart of hearts, you know, was meant for you and was special to you. And you'll never have the vernacular to be able to describe why they are so important to you and why they hit you in every single bone. And you get that feeling in your stomach when the riff or the part of the song comes in where it's complete, your stomach is empty, but it's completely full and it's just, you're holding invisible oranges in your hand and everything's just great and makes sense to you. That's what the Hold Steady did for me. And yeah, they're just, they've never faltered me. And I really appreciate that about that band. I love them very, very much.
The song that we're talking about this week is one of the Hold Steady songs that does that for me every time. So this episode is technically about Stuck Between Stations, which is the opening track on Boys and Girls. It's the first song that I ever heard from them. And to this day, like it's still like there's a physical reaction that I have to hearing this song. How do you feel about just the song Stuck Between Stations in particular?
So I love Stuck Between Stations. It's such an amazing song. It was like the perfect way to kick off that record. And literally it starts with like a literary quote, right? Like there are nights that I think it's all paradise was right. Boys and girls in America have such a sad time together. Like what a way to frame an entire record from the absolute get-go. It is the song is, I think, everything from that era of Hold Steady you were expecting. And it's such a like that's the third record of theirs, right? Boys and Girls in America. It comes after Almost Killed Me, which is raw as hell, Separation Sunday, which is like a loose concept record, and then Boys and Girls in America comes out. And it's a band of guys in their early 30s really figuring out what the hell they wanted to do. Like they really locked the sound in that they would become known for on that record. And Stuck Between Stations is the calling card for that. It's like the equivalent of like a heavy band starting their record with the biggest breakdown of all time. It's Stuck Between Stations is such a rad song. I feel like I have I appreciate the hell out of it and I love it, but I've seen it's it's a live staple. I don't think they've ever played a show where it's not there. So I've heard that specific song live so many times, and I'm such a live listener that it's I think it may have downgraded for me as far as my appreciation of the song, but I still have so much respect and love for it. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Like it's maybe overexposure. It would be surprising if it was your favorite song, given the gigs and gigs of live recordings you have. But I mean, I agree. To me, it's like a perfect introduction. And especially again, for me, it's the first thing that you're going to hear. It's like the piano breakdown is like God tier.
Next level.
The guitar solo is hilarious. Like it just has all those elements that ultimately become, you're right, like the defining kind of aspects of the band, which is why it's the thing that we're talking about this week.
Yeah, it's their calling card. Like that song is like, listen, if you like the Hold Steady at their highest is going to probably be realistically the first song on every one of their records. They are very good about letting you know off the top what they're going to be doing on the whole record. Stuck Between Stations is such a good, it really defines the whole record that's coming. And it has little, it's an overture of a musical theater. It is little pieces of everything that's going to come. And by the end, if you listen to it again and come all the way back around as a reprise, you're going to have a better understanding of everything you listen to. But yeah, it's so like the production's so much sleeker than the records from before. You're right. The piano breakdown in the middle is like some of Franz's best work. The guitar solo is just tadding it up. Tad's the guitarist, and he's just like having as much fun as humanly possible. It's got a really good groove. And again, if you're paying attention to the lyrics, we're talking about I don't know, we drink and we dry up and now we crumble into dust, just like after a night at the bar, having you know what I mean? Like being in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, which is where a lot of their stuff is based. And they specifically he mentions the Golden Gophers NCAA hockey team inside of this song.
It's got a lot. Now there's a lot of specific geographic references in the whole study. You've mentioned a few of them, but one that I'm a little curious about for you is the idea that Ybor City, in particular in this era of the band, is such a big part of the mythos. And was being from Florida and hearing a band sing about Ybor City, this like neighborhood in Tampa,
they almost killed me. Yeah. For the uninitiated to the horrors of the state of Florida, Ybor City is a section of Tampa between Tampa and St. Petersburg that is it's all it is late night. So there's a mass amount of strip clubs, there's a huge amount of bars. It's one of the most heavily policed areas in Florida because it is every university person goes to Ybor City to just get wrecked. They mention Ybor City a lot as a party, and also Pensacola, both of those, which are like Pensacola is the real spring break spot. But yeah, so true story. The first ever time I got to see them live, I skipped the last day of Gainesville Fest because they played in Ybor City.
Oh, that's sick.
Fake Problems.
Awesome.
And I went, and being from Florida, I was like, hey, Fake Problems, can I do your merch in trade for coming to the show with you? So I left the fest, went down to Ybor City, and it was like part of some weird Ybor City downtown festival, and they did not promote the show at all. So it was like a 700 cap venue, maybe 60 people there at most. And yeah, it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. It was phenomenal, but seeing them in Ybor City play like 4 songs that mention Ybor City, my brain exploded.
That's so sick.
Yeah, I love the relation with Ybor City. I love how I love that they have a lot of geographical callbacks. It makes things a lot more relatable. It's just they're such you could do like 7 hours just talking about Craig's lyrics and breaking through. You could do the
character,
it's always sunny meme.
You do the Charlie, like here's how everyone, and here's where Robo fits in, and
Would you be surprised to hear that is something that I have done, is written down from start to finish, chronologically what those stories are?
I have not. I would actually love for you to share that with me, because you have shared other things that you have made related to the Hold Steady with me. When I first realized that you were like a particular tier of fan was years ago when I think they did the first run of Horseshoe residencies, which have become sort of a tradition, just an incredible experience every time. And initially it was kind of like, what are these shows going to be? Is it going to be, I only bought tickets to one night because I was like, I don't actually really need to see the Hold Steady 4 nights in a row. But after the first night, they played a couple of hits, and then they started playing Almost Killed Me, the first record.
Start to finish.
And it was like, there was like 1 song, 2 songs, 3 songs. Then it was like, oh my God, they're doing the record in its entirety. And then it was like, is this going to be what happens? And I ran into you outside of the Horseshoe, and you were like, dude, they're playing every record front to back. And it wasn't every record. I think they did the first 3 records, and then they just did a fuck off night, which was in and of itself incredible. And you were like aware of this because you were on the Unified Scene message board, and you were like, here's the deal. And then I DM'd Craig to be like, hey, I know you like punk history. I wrote a book that mentions the Horseshoe a lot in it. If I give you that book, can you give me tickets to the show? And he did. So I scammed my way into every night, because they were all sold out. And it was an incredible experience to see those records performed in their entirety, having been obsessed with them. So that was the first time that I was like, you're on another level. But then most recently, when you and I were talking to each other for the Extremely Online episode that we did about queer metal, and we talked about Creature, I think that was around the time that you were putting together your own edit of a Hold Steady record. Can you just describe that process? Because it is really good, but to me, it's a symptom of a truly obsessed mind.
It's yes, and also yes. So they had a record called Thrashing Through the Passion that was a collection. So the band stopped touring a long time ago. Now they just do residencies. So they'll come to Toronto every other year. They'll do every December. They will play in Brooklyn. They go to the UK once a year, and then they just kind of go to different cities. It's pretty awesome. So I've had a lot of opportunities to just go to Chicago, see them 3 days in a row, come home, not see them for 9 months. They released a record called Thrashing Through the Passion that during those runs, they would start releasing a single or 2 songs as a Bandcamp only release before any of their residencies. And they ended up collecting a lot of songs from that. And what they did was they released a full length record, their first one since Teeth Dreams. It'd been 4 or 5 year break, I think, between the two. And they had 5 new songs to start it. And then they selected 5 of the 8 singles and they put that on the back half and they just called it an LP. And I really loved the songs that came out of it. They were the first songs that they'd written with Franz back in the fold. He came back to the band after Teeth Dreams. So there was 2 records where they didn't have the keyboardist, and now it's all of them with Steve, the guitarist, and Franz, the keyboardist. It's a super band. And yeah, Thrashing Through the Passion's their first one with Franz back, and I loved the songs, but the track listing was so disjointed to me and didn't make very much sense as a record. And they also picked some songs that went on it from their singles that I just didn't think made a lot of sense in context. So I made track listing Through the Passion, or I think it was Thrashing Through the Track List, which was my version of the record, which I basically just took a couple songs off, made them B-sides, put a couple songs on from those singles that I thought made sense, and made my own track listing start to finish. Same amount of songs.
Resequenced it, yeah.
I resequenced it. It's so 8 of the 10 songs are the same. And yeah, I just thought it made more sense as a Hold Steady record to me, as opposed to like a collection of collection of 5 songs and a collection of singles. And I really liked it. And it's what I listen to when I listen to that record. I listen to my cut of it because it just makes sense as a start to finish thing. I'm a big track listing person. If you couldn't tell by now, dear listener, that I am a person who really appreciates the minutia of the things that I love, I don't know what to tell you. But
yeah. They might have picked up on that.
I did share that with you, and I sent you my track listing and why I believe I sent you probably like 6 pages of notes as to why I did what I did.
And I loved it.
And what? Yeah, you sent me a text that says this is great, but I never actually heard I would love to know your thoughts on the retrack listing. If you,
it's better. I didn't like. I mean, it's generic for me. Like I didn't love Thrashing Through the Passion. I was kind of like, I remember putting it on, and I was driving somewhere, and I was like, great, I'm gonna have time. I can like listen to this record, and just it really didn't hit for me, and I was disappointed because I was excited to have Franz back in the band, and you were like, the problem is the order, and they didn't put the right song. I was like, okay, put it on. I was like, oh, I like this record now. Like that's really, to me, I'm just like, oh, you just kind of fixed a mediocre record. Those are the extent of my thoughts. I have very superficial thoughts about the things I love, where I'm like, they're sick, and so that's how I felt about it. It's fucking sick, and thank you for sharing it with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah. Feel free, if there's anybody who would like Thrashing Through the Track listing, you're more than welcome to share the track listing.
Amazing. Okay,
with me. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
So we can do that on the Discord. We'll make people pay for it still, because maybe that's less illegal. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Speaking of sharing things with people, thank you so much for sharing your time with me and our listeners right now, sharing your passion. Thank you for thrashing through the passion together. Thank you for everything you've done to ensure that I don't ever miss a good Hold Steady show. Where can people hit you up for, Tragically Hip recommendations, various other sort of Ontario insights that you might be able to offer? Is there anything that you should promote in this moment in a podcast?
No, not really. No, I just want people enjoy the music that they enjoy and do the things that they love. And I'm very happy to, there's so much joy in what we do up here. Just thankful that you that you shared the joy with me. And, if you're into the Hold Steady, if you're not, definitely worth checking out. And yeah, I know I have nothing to promote other than the joy of getting to hang out with a friend and talk about something I love. So
and
thanks for having me, buddy.
People can check out Vile Creature. If you like the Hold Steady, check out Vile Creature. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, it's very related. Absolutely. Really, if you like queer and physical trauma, feel free to check out Vile Creature. But otherwise, just listen to the Hold Steady. They're a great fucking band.
Awesome. Thanks, KW.
Thanks, buddy.